We are back, baby. EUSL on the cards now. And speaking of the cards, ha 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 ha! I love making jokes. We have Vibe Check versus Wild Cards coming in here.
Yep. Vibe check, wild cards, already getting into characters, but team wise, placement wise, this one is a bit rough for Vibe check, let's say.
Yeah, the playoff implications for them not looking too good, really, because Vibe Check have to win out for the rest of the season, and if they end, it kind of like plays into a lot of stuff. If wild cards end up winning this game, Vibe Check are eliminated from the playoffs. So now, this time around, they are going to be ready to go. And our first map, Zap, selected by card. And of course, Vibe Check has the first pick. They will get the Rasmus away. The Atlas now coming into clutch as well because there's no Dracar in the Giraffe. As Omega Infused Accelerator and Timeless Creator are Awakenings. So, Vibe Check getting the Rasmus is going to be very, very strong for them because they have the one character that can realistically kill from kind of anywhere on the map.
Yeah, it's not exactly the easiest situation, but it's certainly easier. And being backed by Kazan as well, that kind of that's going to be a bit of a minefield in a way on IMEs of all maps.
Yeah, Rasmus and Kazan being picked away for Vibe Check now, as our last pick is coming in, and it's the Kai actually. So Estelle's still on the board, surprisingly or not. No one picking the Estelle, as now Atlas is on the board, and I kind of wonder what the last pick is going to be. It could be the Asher or the Centauro. Anyone of the two can work out in their favor, as Card are looking to try to get their brawler a good pick. And of course, I mean, Asher can kind of serve as a Juliet. Realistically, if you're like getting into the things and you're very much looking out for all those KO opportunities, you can get in. There we go, the
Yep,
Asher being
there it
picked up
is.
as our last pick. So now Vibe Check running the Rasmus Kazana and the Kai versus Card, who are running the Atlas now in the Asher. What do you think about the draft? What do you think these characters are gonna pick here?
I mean, I would be very surprised if all of Wildcard just didn't go Timeless Creator. I'll be real with you. On the other hand, I could see a mix between the two on Vibe Check, although I would say I'm not quite sure like which one would Rasmus pick. I could theoretically see a reason for both of them just to kind of like get Rasmus into good positioning because like he's constantly fishing he's constantly fishing, let's say. But I feel like theoretically Omega Infused Accelerator could help with positioning on that front. I could see Kai as well going for it because Kai enjoys them some speed. I could see that happening as well. Cause on I yeah, there's a few options here in terms of play style, but that's kind of like what I'm looking at.
Yeah, getting into things already. Ata, Yuki, and SMG raring to go on this map as well. As this time near the Euro stage, going to be on the Atlas as well.
Oh, I had it completely backwards.
And this time, actually, we have Lego Piece back on the cards. I mean, remember last week, that guy put on a masterclass of a performance on both of his characters. And of course, this time around, we're gonna see whether or not the Burger Box of Prodigy is again ready to Burger Box his way out of this game. As a Kurill already found for SMG, putting on the stops and taking the barrier away from the wild cards just now. The goal won't be found though. Nero with a great out clear, bring it away home, and somehow the core just isn't going to go in quite yet as Lucas comes back online.
Yeah, very good defensive play on their part. I am still kind of shocked. I literally got it completely backwards in terms of like opening awakenings, but whatever. We rock anyways. Both barriers down, both goals open. Now it is, I believe, yeah. beautiful shot there. I was about to say there's going to be like an attempt on goal here. Lego piece doing just that, punching that one through for the first point.
Yeah, already coming in here. I mean, for the most part, it's like watching this team, and of course watching wildcards play, and of course the Asher gonna get almost a lot of value there. Yeah, the Asher, I mean, for the most part, I think the matchup for Asher and Kazan is actually pretty. It's kind of sort of favored towards Kazan because you have a lot more of an easier time getting the core around the Asher, which is what you almost always want to do if you're playing against her. But this time around, Lucas, well, not Lucas, but SMG falling off the map very, very quickly as Nero ends up finding the primary to secure the goal. As the pass comes back around, Lucas and Lego Piece finally together trying to get a kill out, and the kill will be found once again.
Hell?
3 KOs in a single point. Yeah, just everything being thrown into the play.
That was monstrous. That was the second point of this match. This is not like 2 sets deep. And they're already starting to just like stack bodies. I am wondering, is that going to be like the general intent? What? Just hold on. Yeah, okay. This is going to be a slugfest. There's going to be a lot of blood on the floor to clean up in this one. And, yeah. Oh, very close on that one. Nearly got that barrier, but just a few inches off. That's still allowing for Vibe Check to kind of try and reset the situation. Nothing quite doing, however. Pass Splitter does not help things in that matters. It is Wildcard. Managed to, I'm about to say, go for the barrier, but Sad Boys it up. But now they do get the barrier as well as a power play. Core does get away from them for a little bit. Nice Giga Blast just to try and kind of interrupt things a little bit. Doesn't quite help them for very much longer, though. With only 2 people now, just a quick feed down to quick feed to the south end, and there you have it. Fairly quick set one.
Yeah, the scary part about this team, or at least about both of these teams, is the fact that everyone kind of took OIA. So now, with that Spark of Strength pickup, and no ad rush, by the way, not being picked up at all. Is ad rush going to go all the way down? There's no way. There's no way ad rush is going to go all the way down. Okay, there we go. The ad rush is taken by the Atlas. But what I was going to say earlier was, with Asher having the Spark of Strength, they can scale out of control very, very easily if they end up picking another awakening like bulk up, or another scaling awakening like the Spark of Agility or the Focus Spark. So now, this time around, it's gonna be a lot more dangerous for any team to really come across, especially with OIA as their awakening pick. And of course, I mean, both of these teams, they kind of just had to take OIA. I mean, there could be like an argument for really all 3 of the creation characters on not Vibe Check, but for wildcards to pick up the Timeless, but instead OIA, just for the speed, is going to be very, very helpful for them because they're able to rotate the core like that very, very easily. And now, even though both teams are scaling away and letting the core go all the way around, it becomes a lot harder for them to get into the corner here, as now everyone kind of piling up into the bottom side, trying to get things done. The hook just isn't found, though. No kill. Like I've been saying, like no kill has been found with the hook, but anything else, any other kill has been found, quite literally. Like the flip, ready to go for both sides. Yuki very, very low and will be advanced on by Nero, but Nero doesn't get the kill. But instead, it's actually Lucas finding the kill, and almost another one onto a top. As now, very, very easily this game could be turned around on its head. Pass comes through to Lucas, and everything just has to be one. Striker is being put into show as the core goes right in overtime.
Yeah, like beautiful defense. Did manage to hold, even though the goal is open. Very spirited defense. Wow, nearly across the world shot, gets the barrier, but no dice. They do manage to take that, convert it into a bit of an offensive attempt. Nice interception from the attempt to have
oh there. No!
And the kill, Nero showing why they took that ad rush, just saying like, I'm going to just squeeze people into the hole. I'm going to push people in the hole. I'm not going to fish. So, like, if that keeps happening, then who knows? But right now, Yuki moving up to push a goal through, get a nice solid point there for the side of Vibe Check, trying to kind of like shake things back off of what was a surprisingly disastrous like first set. Just a lot of blood, a lot of bodies. I actually like looking at all the awakenings together that Wildcard picked up. I really do think that's kind of what they decided their win condition is going to be, because they're getting like a lot of like strength and like pushing stuff or stuff that facilitates KOing. But right now, VibeCheck kind of taking advantage of that attempted stratagem, perhaps, to just we're just gonna score. You can try and fight us all you want. We're just gonna score. We're going to actually play the objective. We're gonna actually win. Cool, cool.
More control, part of the game. It's looking pretty good for wildcards, but they still can't escape the KOs. In fact, loses just keeping across the map, really with the ult as well. And of course, that just allows them to pick up a very, very easy power play. But can they convert here? They actually can't, as the SMG is able to store the core out. And of course, again, Lego piece in the cards, everything going inside, as even the checkmate is coming in because there's no out clear, there's no win clear either, because Lego piece is already having the core ready to go. So now, VibeCheck, they have a 2-1 lead, but Wildcards are trying to fight back here, trying to get something done. But now, looking just at the KO advantages for either side, in fact, SMG popping the flip will be deflected away. And that's the scary part about this Wildcards team. I mean, kind of anything is under the pretense of, like, it's clearable, and we actually get it out. And of course, Nero, being the old man he is, he's able to really clear out anything with his wisdom. Of course, that allows the barrier to be fallen first. Four wild cards, in fact. So now Wildcards have a chance to really get something done here, as the defense is still holding very, very strong for them. Barrier does fall, but the KO is instead traded away. Zata trying to push up as well, trying to get something done on the offense, but this can't seem to be happening.
Yeah, very nice on there. Beautiful. Punched it through the top end, and at that point, it just kind of like fell through. Apparently, that didn't even get to Lego before it got into the goal. Wonder what happened there. But either way, we have a set that is tied up. Nero and was on the having nearly a full meter, but that one was quickly wasted. And meanwhile, Ata has a flip as well ready on the defense. So need to see if they're willing to pour everything they've got into getting this set and hopefully getting it away from Wildcard.
And now, I was going to say earlier, the only reason why that goal went in was because now Primary ended up slipping the goal right in. The KO again found on the power play, as everything is coming to close shambles now, as SMG and Natal have to fend off the 3 players on the other side trying to get the goal. And of course, what I was going to say earlier was, now is actually pretty good this patch. And of course, just in general, now was always good. Kind of just being able to really do anything, because with the knockback on our primary, really anything on our primary, the stun on the primary too is just very, very strong. And again, Lego Piece putting it in right when Lucas sets him up as quickly as possible. And of course, the teamwork from Lego Piece and Lucas is falling out to be very, very nice. And with the MVP of the set is the Now, and welcome to the Now pick. The Now has Monumentalist ready to go, and even Glass Cannon if they really wanted to get more power and speed. But I think Monumentalist would be the right strat here.
Yeah, no, I agree, and there it goes. So, completely unsurprising, but, sometimes you just want to see people make good decisions.
Yeah, and of course, everyone else in the draft, they have a lot to work with. Extra Special actually being denied away from SMG at least, and of course, that just sets them up for a lot of success. I mean, even Lego Piece getting peak performance as well is going to be very scary, because now that Asher has a lot to work with in terms of the speed, and that speed is going to be very, very good for them, especially when now they're the ones in control of the board. The pass splitter coming out as well. I mean, this defense is holding very strong. I mean, just look how Nero is holding it down. I might have Casticurse did it for a second there, but Nero has been holding on the defense very, very well. I mean, obviously it's because it's an Atlas, but still, it is kind of hard sometimes when the game doesn't really give you what you want sometimes, and the core ends up going back behind you for fun. So now, on this side of the field, SMG and Yuki just trying to find something good, and there we go. Finally, the speed coming into clutch there from SMG, pushing the core forwards and setting up a goal for themselves.
Yeah, just very nice awareness of the situation. Nero didn't have anything left in the tank trying to fend off of that one. SMG just kind of like ran it up, shot it in, just yeah, like just very good into it, and it's very good understanding of the situation as it happens. But meanwhile, Flip's going out. Flip's being traded. Life being lost. Ata looking very low, as is Yuki. Neither of them were exactly looking very healthy as these abilities keep flying out. All three members starting to look a little bit concerning, so to speak. Flip goes out, does not bounce like how I'm pretty sure that was not like what Lucas wanted in terms of like bounces. Does give an opportunity to vibe check to kind of shift things, transition into an offensive mindset themselves. Yuki burns the flip. SMG looking a bit low as things get back into like the top corner. Bit concerningly, there it goes. Yuki staggered. Flip does come out from SMG. Does manage to go clear in the air. Does manage to get a barrier as well as we hit overtime. Second flip comes out from Lego piece. Doesn't manage to get anything from that. SMG looking low, looking concerning. Nice hook to feed to themselves. Feed it up to Yuki. Went for the shot on goal, but unable to get anything. Barrier does go down. Both sides open goals now. We need to see who can capitalize first.
And already coming in, Lucas pushing it right into the corner as Yuki is there just to save it just in time. As the pass forward, it also comes out too. A lot of the players are coming in, and of course, this forward duo on both sides just have to push it through, but I feel like Ata is the one going to be setting up this team a little bit better because of the team player, and look where he goes off the map, and Yuki ends up saying it right past Niru. I mean, the cosmic expansion just isn't right, and it ends up going the right way. Ata, she sets up her team very, very well, and although they were dead, Yuki was able to clutch up in the meantime.
Yeah, sometimes it just takes like very good aim on that part. Just beautiful shot there. But tried to like pay that back real fast, but unfortunately, Sad Boys still alive and well, and they are pushing through again, trying to take advantage of this quick power play. Doesn't manage to though. Both barriers still up for now.
There goes SMG off the map, and Ata just can't touch the core there. The way that they're trying to play this is a little bit. Yeah, just try to cover every angle, but every angle just can't be covered enough as long as the speed is in clutch and the top. She has a little bit of problem. She has a little bit of problems coming in because just the Kazaa not being big enough. I mean, yeah, they have pauldrons, but the size can't really cover a lot, and the size hasn't been coming out in this draft at all. No draft has actually shown size. So now with everything coming in, how will Ata be able to handle her defense? And of course, the flip has to come out, and the barrier will be found, but can her team end up clearing it out? And yes, they can. They will end up getting a set off of that flip.
Yeah, Yuki kind of handled that one almost like themselves. Yeah, MVP, unsurprisingly at all. So we need to see if maybe this draft will be the one that can help him out a little bit. Draft order is a bit concerning, but we'll see.
Off going over to Yuki, gonna be very, very good for that speed, and of course Hotshot has to just be thrown away. For the meantime, they try to want to get Lego piece and pick up the draft, leaving up 2 sparks, and there we go. One of the sparks will actually fall to Lego piece. Will it be the spark of agility? Yes, it will be actually. So now speed is the name of the game for Lego piece, and now with that extra speed, it becomes a lot easier for them to really catch the core in any position. But on the other side though, Yuki does have the recovery drone, so now with that, it'll be a lot harder for really anyone to get past the Kazan, because the Kazan just has so much range. I mean, even as like a sort of melee goalie, the range is just insane. And finally, the first kill with the hook is found. SMG finding it onto Lucas, and Lucas now off the gridiron. And of course, evades coming out perfectly as well, sets up Yuki to take the barrier. And Ata also pushing up as well. She has a lot of influence around the bottom side of the map, and getting to SMG is the key, and that was the plan all the time.
Yeah, very nice, and that looked a lot cleaner from vibe check than from what I've been seeing with them for the majority of the game. So very impressive. I don't know if this is vibe check kind of feeling a little bit better about themselves, if they managed to kind of like figure out some sort of either key stratagem, who knows. But
oh, there we go.
Yeah, they're starting to get into their bag now. So good on vibe check for just not being willing to die until it's over.
Strike Lore is ping-ponging across the map all the time, and Yuki ends up putting it in with the flip, and 2 flips still for the side of Vibe Check now as they're looking to try to bring the set and the reverse sweep to life as they still have 2 flips on the board, one for Ata, one for SMG, but on the other side too, one of them is going to be knocked off the map, and there goes SMG, and almost Yuki too! The DP almost worked out in their favor, and now Wildcards have a chance to bring this back, and Flip will have to be burnt, and the Sad Boys angle just won't be found though. So now 2 flips ready to go. 1 flip burned forward near as they get into Lego Piece, and Lego Piece will sink it home, but not quite. The hook does save it, but the flip still is good.
That was almost incredible. Just managed to kind of like snatch the core back, tried to throw it out there, but Lucas was like, no, we say it's going in, so it's going in. And managed to just like get that point there. However, it is still Vibe Check that are on I was about to say that are on set point, but they do manage to get a barrier taken from them. And Lego Piece and Lucas on a breakaway flip, and suddenly it is match point wildcard, set point Vibe Check.
Match point found, and of course, they don't have any flips to their advantage though, but the energy economy still seems to be in the favor of Vibe Check now because SMG has a flip ready to go, but we've seen how many times that he's been getting KO'd off of just Lucas being able to just position correctly, and the hook will be going wide though as Lego Piece and Ata do duke it out by themselves. Flip will be found, Barry will be found too, and this could be the end of the set very, very quickly now as the speed is just so much to take control, and SMG ends up putting it right in. So now the reverse sweep is alive, and the set, we're at set 5 now, and hopefully this can turn into a set 5.5 with SMG taking the helm. And of course, 2 sides awakenings on the board for the Kazan and the rest to take. Even bulk up ready to go, and I don't think you want to give the bulk up to Asher. So now, what will he take? It kind of depends on what is there to go, and Rapid Fire will go over to the now. As they are, I think, just trying to wait for the size to come into play. Chrono Boost will be taken. Demolition also found Missile Prop 2, and Kazan will get the 3rd size awakening for themselves, and of course bulk does go to the Asher. A lot more speed for them, but will it make a difference? Because this draft is actually looking pretty clean for them.
Yeah, very, very nice draft for the side of Vibe Check. Got what they wanted. Not gonna say that Wildcard got nothing either, though. That could be it could be concerning. So we're gonna need to see how this all ends up playing out. Sad Boys again for wild card, unfortunately. I feel like that's been happening to him a lot this game.
Yeah, a lot of damage already being put in, and Yuki, you're not looking too good. A little bit worse for wear, but the speed is still very good from both teams. And just look at the KO. Double KO actually being found. A McDouble for the Troubles, and now everything just isn't on a toss side. She got defending against everything on by herself, and now again, Wildcards looking back to their former selves, finding 2 KOs back-to-back. Very easy win for them, and they have the energy to prove it themselves.
Yikes. Yikes, yikes, yikes. Double your fun there for a moment. But,
oh, no!
Wow. Lucas again, just with the absolute, like, crushing blow. And Lego Piece with the finish. Okay, alright. Wildcard trying to say, like, yeah, okay, yeah, we've let you have your fun, but we're just gonna crush you now. Like, Lego Piece and Nero both with flips. Ata the only one having, like, a real shot at a flip on the side of Vibe Check. You know, they're one.
Oh,
oh
no.
God, oh no. Oh no. I mean, I think that bulk up is doing, like, a lot of work for him all of a sudden, just squeezing them out. Meanwhile, Lucas doing their best to contribute to things. Oh, kind of faked Ata out a little bit, didn't manage to finish on that approach. Lucas trying to push forward, Lego Piece sitting right there in the cut, just waiting for their moment. Flip goes out, trying to get things out away from their territory. And you can see Yuki looking a lot worse for wear. Kind of had to leave the play for a little bit. Nero trying to fish for the kill, but meanwhile, fishing for the goal is Lego Piece. Pushed it through. And that is a wrap for this first game. It goes to Wildcard in honestly, a very spirited 3-2 effort.
Yeah, already very, very scary comeback for Ta. And of course, I mean, with the bulk of pickup, Lego Piece was just able to do really anything, swing away, and just look how many KOs from that game. 17 KOs versus the 4. Kind of seemed like every opportunity they had to go KO, they just went for it. And Nero, I mean, Lucas actually finding a lot of KO. 5 KOs off of just primary flip. I mean, this now character is pretty scary, and now with them leading the series 1-0, it becomes a lot harder for them. And of course, that was Card's map pick, so thankfully they won it. But VibeCheck did put up a fight, so maybe on their map of Night Market, the cards will be dealt a different way.
They're gonna have to hope, because at this point, it is. I think at this point, it really is like all or nothing for the side of VibeCheck. They gotta take this one. So they're going to have to definitely look deep within themselves, figure out what they feel they did right, what they feel they may have did wrong, and figure out any adjustments. Like the pre-game issues when it comes to like character drafting, who to ban, who to let through, who do we want to try and like pick so that we can risk them to picking. That's a chess match in and of itself, and I think at this point that is going to be critical to their chances of staying alive.
Yeah, now with their map pick on the board with VibeCheck, they have a lot to work. I mean, they brought not their map pick to a set 5, so this time around, if they can easily sweep this game, it'd be a lot easier for them to get through. Especially with the pair up with SMG and Yuki. I mean, they were playing that offense pretty well. I will say that. So, but in that case, as long as they're able to keep the core in their possession and to be able to win a lot of these interactions, become very easy for them to win. And of course, the top. I mean, she was playing a very good goalie game, so I wouldn't even say that she really was the worry of the team. She was holding it down pretty well sometimes. So I think in that case, it just ends up being like just the don't get KO'd method, and just to stop, like to play a little bit more life and not get too aggressive. Because I feel like in that case, it was like they wanted to get aggressive, and they were playing a lot of the corners of the map on enemy stepping. You can't really just do that. It's very, very hard for you to get into that position, and of course, it just becomes a lot harder for you to do that. As on Night Market at least.
Yeah, Night Market is always interesting to kind of have to see how things are going to fall on that map. But we're here yet again. So that's just something they're going to have to puzzle through.
Yeah, this time around, it's a little bit weird because, of course, Game 2 on VibeCheck now is going to be on their hands for the most part, and VibeCheck's ready to be on the first pick, as Card on the second pick as well.
So the question is, who are they going to ban? Who are VibeCheck going to ban out? I am genuinely uncertain.
Yeah, I mean, they could really pick anyone here. I mean, Missile Prop is a very good awakening for VibeCheck because they can deny the Atlas, and they actually go to bed now. So the now pickup kind of in their heads a little bit too scary. Yeah. So now, of course, with that, we see whether or not they can end up picking it up. Yeah, Fire Up and Missile Prop as our 2 awakening starts, a bit freaky, seeing the fact that Fire Up is banned in NA. So I mean, EU is different. EU is better than NA anyways. Who cares about that? So already now being banned, and Dubu being banned too. Actually, Dubu very prevalent in our first game on Taiko, but now being banned on the Night Market. Dubu still is a pretty strong pick on the goalie. I think that's what we're trying to ban out. And of course, let's go really anywhere. The Mako or the Atlas could fall to Ta here, but also the Atlas could fall to Nero. So what they pick first can depend on what card. Well, it can influence what card picks next. The Atlas will go away. Yep. So now this time around, you have to think of a goalie option for Nero, and Nero could even technically pick up the Finny, I think. Finally, I have no clue. They might have a Finny in their bag, but they still have a lot to work with. I mean, if they pick a goalie first off, then the next acceptable option for any drafter would be just to go brawler midfielder next. And since Drakkar isn't in rotation, it's very, very hard to know what they're going to pick. And Kai does end up falling to Lucas. But that means that the Estelle is going to actually be taken away as well.
Ooh.
I might have lied when I said the Kai was going to go to Lucas. It actually could be Kai onto Nero and then Estelle on Lucas. So now this time around, two of the best characters for midfielding have been taken away. So the draft is going to be a little bit awkward for Vibe Check.
Yeah, no, this is it's not like wholly defensive drafting, but it is like good. It's just good drafting, and wow, some immediate lock-ins. Vice Zentaro instead. I mean, I like it. I'm wondering though if maybe Vibe Check wanted to just go like just blow them all away, you know, kind of a offense, trying to go for like a bit more offensive heavy, and there's the X to round things off. So
yeah, the X already in clutch now. So with X as last pick, I mean X is still a pretty good character, even though the recent nerfs have said otherwise. So now it's kind of on the side of Vibe Check to try to bring this back with KOs, especially with the Atlas and the Vice and Zentara. Vice and Zentara specifically would be a very, very good KOing combo.
nope, yeah, I agree with that. So I'm gonna have to see how this one shakes out, especially like on night market, which can be fun in quotation marks, especially with these awakenings.
Definitely so. I mean, Fire Up is going to be taken by both goalies, I think, especially with just the speed. The speed is so strong. Like you're able to set up an offense extremely easily. I mean, with the amount of speed you have, you're able to make a lot longer dribbles, and with those dribbles, especially on night market too, where you have only the center, to get any value. It's kind of easy for you to get the speed on the map as well. Also be able to push very far, and especially if you have the chain abilities together, it becomes a lot easier for not SMG, but for any of the four duo to get their hands onto the core to push it forward. So yeah, I was kind of right. In fact, actually, on the other side, it's Team Fire Up versus two missile props and a Fire Up on the other side as well. So now, this time around, it could be very, very interesting to see how Lucas, Lego Piece, and Nero play with the missile prop. And instead, it's not even Kai goalie. It's actually a Stow goalie now. So, I mean, it's good for them. And of course, Yuki already capitalizing very, very quickly on the play, getting 2 barriers for their troubles.
Yeah, I got 2 barriers and immediately got that ult. Tried to use it. No dice, but they are already looking very nice for this one. Just managed to get that barrier open just about immediately. And 1 barrier, however, does go down for them in just respectably short order as well. Need to see if a second one will. Lego Piece doing their absolute best to just kind of like bully the heck out of both both team members. Ata does have a flip, however, so need to see if they're going to be like willing to use it so early or not.
Barrier found for Lego Piece. Looking very, very good as all 3 members of Vibe Check have the flip ready to go. Flip will be burned out to Nero as the core goes all the way around. And everyone's so fast that Lego Piece can actually catch it with the X Maximus, and the flip just can't be used in time.
Yeah, no, like you just saw the opportunity, and as soon as the thing came in, X just slugged Ata and was like, "No, don't touch it," and they didn't, and just really like very funny, very interesting. Score 1 for this next game. Need to see if they can kind of like just keep up that timing, that kind of positioning, and that recognizance of the situation.
Bellringer does stall the power play just a little, well, not power play, but the offense just a little bit because it's on the core back. But now One barrier gone for both teams as SMG tries to put on the Jets. And second barrier too as reflips still have to be used. One flip will be burnt. Second one won't be used as they try to get the core. Our second barrier actually will be taken on the other side though. As the flip again is burnt for SMG this time. And SMG will fall off the map. Power play ready to go. As now all three members are speeding through. The ETOS still has flip ready to hold on to as Lucas is coming up with flips of his own. But instead it's actually Lucas who falls off the map too. Now 2v2 power to a 2v2 not power play for both teams. As of the power play for Vivetech is coming in. And now Lucas coming back online in 2 seconds could be what evens out the score now. As the core ends up going around and doesn't find the necessary angle to go in, but it still sets up very, very nicely as Ata burns the flip, trying to get the stun off as SMG tries to push the core forwards and try to get this play going.
Yeah, I'm trying to, but it is proving difficult to say the least. Nice defensive effort from Nero and Lucas, both having Lucas, you know, being willing to like step back at times and help defend, but everybody trying to do their best to keep that core out of territory. Unfortunately, SMG finds the opportunity, kind of like faces themselves, and manages to get past Nero to tie it up. That was only the second point in this game.
These points have been very, very slow rolling. And of course, it'll be more slower even with X, because X will scale in set 3 onwards. The X lore will never stop for the color casters to be able to farm free just interest in general. As Yuki tries to go for Lucas and doesn't find the kill, but Lego Piece again, the Burger Foxer, trying to find everything for themselves. Flip ready to go. Flip burnt, flip returned, as now Lucas still very, very fast. Everyone very, very fast with the fire up start. So now everyone trying to just find an opening. The flip goes along away, and Yuki will be killed, but they will end up being revived by the Atlas. Oh, as now the dash comes in, perfectly timed,
Nice.
perfectly placed.
Yeah, just very nice positioning. Had max distance on that rush, but rush they did, and it is set point for wildcard.
Wild cards. Have 2 flips ready to go though, so now it's a little bit scary. As 1 barrier will be found, 2 will be taken apart as well. Flip actually burned for the speed this time, as now 2 flips will be brought on the other side too. No one has flip now, except for Nero, who can still command the offense as please. Flip comes out. Everything coming in. Speed as well. Very, very strong as the speed is doing good for now. The speed, everything, even the patience for
What?
Lego Piece. This guy is a real EUSL brawler as he sets and he cleans up the points.
That was excellent patience, excellent dribbling. Caught the goalie out and just managed to secure the set with just very basic fundamental fake out there. Very, very nice there to see. And they are rewarded getting chrono boost for Kai at the very least, and rapid fire, both of which very nice to have.
I mean, this draft is just so strong, and it leaves SMG with nothing. He has to take OIA, and that's just so sad. This draft is completely screwed over the brawler of Vivetech, and now it's like, what can you do? Because now the X has Stinger and can scale even further with damage, and of course damage is already named in the game for both teams anyways. So now with the damage coming in, it could be a lot more scarier for really any member of for Vivetech to get like any sort of touches onto the player, because now with the speed though, it's still looking good for them, but in general they just don't have a lot of speed to play with. So now Lucas pushing up very, very low, but still just the frequency of passing the Lego piece is enough to keep him alive for now. I mean, every orb gets taken away, but he's still alive for now and just has to play life.
Yeah, like, I don't know how they managed to survive this far, but Lucas has, in fact, managed to survive that far. Good on them, but yeah, like you said, SMG having to take that accelerator, not the best look. Trying to make the most of it, though, clearly. It's not them who is kind of, like, on the back foot. They're playing very risky business. Meanwhile, like, Lego Piece, seeing the opportunity, trying to cause some troubles, but doesn't quite manage to. SMG very good at staying alive. Never mind.
Yeah, SMG wasn't the first one to get cracked off, but SMG is the one who first falls, and now just with the OIA pick, it just becomes so much harder for them to survive, and Yuki just has to burn a supernova to stay alive, and they're they go almost off the map. Flip will be returned in favor as Lucas has the to go, will be shot down, and no one is alive right now. Yuki and SMG both on the chopping block for themselves. The flip is not good, and the goal is going to be open now as SMG is looking to capitalize off the kill, off of everything for that matters. He has to evade away.
Yeah, it's got to... If it's going to happen, I feel like it's going to have to be soon. SMG looking worse for wear, but health is a resource. They don't care. They managed to bounce it off wall, feed it to themselves, knock it in, and even managed to take Nero's burst as a bit of an extra bonus. Very nice there, and suddenly, yeah, you get just a very quick barrier on their part. VibeTech trying to do their best to come back here.
Yeah, the only sad part is that now SMG just can't get a flip off, because even with fire up, and you get like some sort of speed that you just can't because you have LIA. And like the fact that you're just not able to get a flip now, it just completely kills one of your awakenings, and just isn't looking too good. I feel like maybe Ares was the better pick here, especially if you wanted like more of anything. And now the flip coming out for Lucas will send them into Pandemonium. And of course, just look at SMG, man. He really can't do anything. Flip will be found away, and we'll give it to Yuki as SMG is still alive for the time being, and will actually almost kill Nero, but who cares?
No.
Who the hell cares about health when you're able to do that all the time?
Yes, SMG heard you. SMG was like, what do you mean ain't able to do anything? What are you talking about? Check this pass. Check this goal. So who knows? We're gonna see. Oh, meanwhile, Nero actually kind of missed the clear there. One barrier aside gets taken in lackluster fashion, or should I say lackadaisical fashion. That's the word I was looking for. And right now, one side apiece, never mind, barriers are cleared on the side of VibeCheck. SMG looking low as per usual at this point. Lego piece looking to try and like help get something, call something out. Supernova comes in, and suddenly life is looking very dangerous and very limited for the side of Wildcard. And there goes Lucas.
He's a demon. And even the KO found for SMG sets him up for a power play, and it's completely turned around, completely capitalized on by Yuki. And there we go. VibeCheck taking a set off of the wild cards as SMG again. Everything to work for. He has Ad Rush, Fire Flood, Heavy Hit, but this draft is so crazy for him. It kind of matters what he takes here, but I feel like really anything could be good. Yeah, Foff taken away is going to be very good for him. As long as he's able to stay alive, it is going to be good, because as you saw the last 2 points, staying alive was the name of the game. And of course, Altal also getting team player too. I mean, this draft for the entirety of VibeCheck is so good.
Yeah, no, like VibeCheck kind of making up like bandits hereabouts. Wild card, not the worst situation in the world, but I'm very impressed at how VibeCheck managed to get some very good ones. So we need to see if this actually turns things around, or if Wildcard kind of like locks in.
They seem to be doing so already. 2 barriers, Fred and Lucas on the chopping block, and will get knocked off the map. And now, Ad Crush rocked away. Everything going in as Yuki sinks it home once again through the middle. As the Strike Warriors won, and Wildcards are looking a little bit worse for wear now. The draft that they saw before is looking too good now, but we have to wait for another set for X to properly scale away as they try to take a very, very convincing lead. Wildcards try to just play the cards right. Try to get the core away from SMG and Yuki, but it's very hard to do so when you're losing barriers like that. 2 barriers gone already, and SMG putting in. He's built different as he sets up another point and scores it with complete easy fashion.
Yeah, very, very fast second point on, and we're on set point here, third set in this matchup. Very nice. VibeCheck definitely not looking to just like go down to a quick 2 and out here. Looking like they want that third one. They want that third match. They want that run back. So need to see if they will in fact be able to get it. 1 barrier on their side down. Need to see if the second one manages to You see if the second one matches come down as well. There it goes. And open goal on the side of Vibe Check now.
Vibe Check, the one's not really looking forward to the opportunity to go score here. 3 flips for their name. The 1 flip will be burned. The speed increase will be helping a lot now as Yuki feeding the core to SMG. SMG not really able to defend anything because he's how much damage he's taking. The damage is so strong already. He just has to play life and will not get the orb actually. So now he's on the chopping block a lot, and Lego Piece is just feeding for that kill. That kill is so necessary, and he won't get it though. But Lucas ends up scoring anyways.
Yeah, we are going to see if they can actually come back here and try and put this one away. Lego Piece having full stick of butter, as does Ata. 1 for offense, 1 for defense. Need to see if that is going to end up the case. Supernova again. Like, Yuki loves, like, just belting that one out, but it's been having some trouble connecting. That hasn't been trouble connecting, however. That is a nice kill on the side of Vibe Check. Power play comes out. They do miss the out clear, though.
Oh, no.
Quick double barrier on the side of Lucas. Nero, however, keeping an eye on things in the meantime as Lego Piece finally does come back. And this is the best opportunity that Wildcard has had in a minute.
And now Wildcards, they're looking to try to bring this back into their hands, into their control. As somehow, some way, balls. Lucas trying to get the cards. Thrown right. Flip already on the ready. Trying to find something out. The barrage is good, and the stun is also perfectly fine as Lucas ties it up 2-2 in this very, very important set 3. If whoever wins the set can change the tides of whatever goes on, because a lot of damage can be belted as soon as those awakenings show up if they show up in the correct order.
Yeah, this one is going to be absolutely critical. First barrier goes down on the side of Wildcard. Tried to get for the second, but wasn't able to get that one out. Seeing if they can tie
up
Maximus. Oh, but Vengeance quickly found. Just like beautiful quick exchange, and we are 2v2. Outside, the only one remaining with a flip, though Nero very near it as well. Again, Supernova coming out. And, yeah, still not much can be done about that aside from just evade, pay that tax, hope it doesn't come back to bite you.
Yeah, and Lucas not really looking too good, though. He has been taking heaps of damage over and over. He can't even get the orb because he has to play offense the entire time. But now it's SMG falling off the map. And regardless of what happens, the life play is fine. Both flips being burnt by the goalies and not finding a single barrier for their troubles, though. So now the power play is stalled out. And really nothing can be done right now because Lego Piece just still can't break through the defense. Yuki and Atal holding on for their dear life, and they've been both doing a very good job of holding down. And now Yuki with the Supernova finds nothing though but sets up SMG for the corner, as now overtime still looking good with the team player buff. Second barrier found, and they're trying to just do their best to keep the X away from the core, and it just seems to be working perfectly right now. X just can't touch the core at all, and this could really bite them in the draft beforehand because now X just doesn't get to scale. And the scaling is so strong for them because now the flip comes through and Yuki sends it home for their set 2. And they're only 1 set away from tying the series up.
Yep, so here we go. We need to see what this draft is going to look like. Vice first in line. This could be a brutal one.
Yeah, and the Spark ready for Yuki. Ready to be taken with all purposes of just going for the kill. Spark of Strength taken away. X has to take anything. Anything is good for him. Really. Because now the Deadeye is gone. 1-2 punch taken for the X. The Estelle looking for anything. There isn't a lot of choices. And of course the entirety of the other team is looking to deny any of the chances they have. Health taken away. Even Deadeye taken away. It is really trying to look like there is no comeback to the heaps of damage that they're trying to pull out. And of course Vibe Check are doing a good job, but now it's the other side doing all the damage. A little bit of me just forgetting how to use words, but one barrier found. Yuki not in a good spot in terms of HP, but they do end up coming back and saving the second barrier too.
Yeah, only for a moment, both barriers going down, and it is a opportunity for Wildcard to punch through. A lot of damage has been coming out on their side. A lot of damage has been coming coming in for a vibe check, but they've been managing to hold you. Flip comes out, bull rush, punched it through for the first goal. Like Wildcard definitely does not want this to go to a game 3. They want this one done and dusted. They are going to be pushing with everything they have. I feel like all of these things they got, all the awakenings they got, are to that purpose. And
Oh no!
sacrifice play on the side of Lego and on the side of everybody. Half of the teams just kind of like died there to get that goal in. But guess what? It did. It happened. They got the point, and now they're all back. Nothing heals you better than a score. Wow, barely saved that one with that flip. Flip's coming out all day today, and they do manage to get a barrier. They do manage to get 2 barriers. Thunderstruck stops one of them. Tried to bull rush that one through. No dice. Lucas came in trying to save it. Goes around the world, does the core. Tries to feed up to Lego. Doesn't quite get it. Piercing shot going through. Lucas and Yuki battling over the center for the core, however as well. Oni's blade coming through. Lego piece. She's just kind of looking in there, waiting in the wings, waiting for their opportunity, waiting for their moment. X Maximus comes out, as does the barrage. Doesn't manage to get anything. Bellringer comes out, trying to catch the core. Still can't quite catch it though. SMG on the offense, tries to sling it forward, sling it through, doesn't get anything off of that one. Core so close, but yet so far. Bellringer comes out again. Supernova comes out, stop trying to flick it, redirected. Overtimes comes through. Quick battle between Yuki and Nero, punches through. Yuki looking worse for wear. Ballers tries to feed to Lego. Lego knocks the absolute heck out of Yuki, and suddenly that is a man down power play. Lego does not quite get to the core, and neither does Nero. Bit of a misplay on that one, stalls it out. Celestial Expanse comes out to save the core. Meanwhile, Lucas tries to run in, tries to flip for it. No dice, no sale.
Oh,
Lego
no.
charges in, completely flattens Yuki, and they are trying yet again to try and push this through. Flip comes out, counter flip. Nero holds, fires away, nothing happening. Piercing shot pushes through. Lucas and Lego piece with the core and try to feed it to Lego. Lego just bell ringered out to let the core sneak through for this set win. Tied it up. I talked a whole lot, but boy, that was an exciting one.
Corporate Floppa wins the set, and now with everything on the cards, overtime already being put in, and set 5 on the horizon, peak performance will be denied away, trying to get more speed into this game. But Sparker focus on the last pick. They have to deny this. There's no way they'll deny this. If they don't deny this, game over. Yeah, deny will be found, but extra special still will be taken up by Yuki. Supernova is going to have 2 times more impact, and of course now it is a tack to take, and Lego City is going to be already here as Catalyst for Lego Piece is going to make things a lot more harder for them, because with the energy advance, it could be a lot harder. And of course, this is only a matter of time before SMG is going to be taken off the map. The damage is just so strong, and just look how 2 members are already about to die. They have to get the orbs back, and they do get the orb though. So now everything being thrown in. KO not being found quite yet. 2 barriers being found as a troublemaker. Now is Yuki still on the chopping block in terms of HP. Giga Blast is good, and of course now wildcards have to just fight for just the sliver of moments for Lego Piece to get in there, because of course without the brawler it becomes a lot harder. As the KO found Yuki with the speed, will have everything covered, everything being shoved in, and Yuki will send it right home by herself.
Like, that was a beautiful one. Very, very heads-up play. And it's just, like, the absolute relentlessness on Vibe Check, trying to just keep things aggressive and keep things, you know, like, possible for their side. So, need to see if they can definitely keep that up. Like, the health is dropping very rapidly on either side. Like, this is this is something that both sides are going to have to definitely like look out for. Both sides can just drop damage when they really, really want to. So got to be mindful of that as these points wear on. Flip goes out, completely rejected, takes a barrier for the troubles. Lego trying to get in the position, maybe use that flip, get yep, there we go, try it for it, but didn't quite get the angle they wanted for it. Barriers down, goal is open on the side of wild card, but it is Lucas risking it all to stay in the play. SMG makes him pay for that hubris though, and Flip gets burnt undesirably by Nero. No real like emergency defense. They do manage to wait out the power play, however. Just like a lot of spirited combat, a lot of spirited moves being making here as overtime continues on.
Yeah, the power of team player is really showing its head now. Second barrier claimed by Lego Piece, and everything seems to be dropping like flies. Yuki has to back away from the play, and that's what kind of matters, because without Yuki, the defense falls out. Lego Piece sinks it home once again, and they're looking to try to bring this away, trying to get the set 5 done with, as now we're on point 3, and of course, the energy is just looking so good for the side of the wild cards, because now just look at the damage. They have to take they have to pay the tax for evading away, but still, without the pressure, it is going to be very strong without it, because now Lucas has the core and has to just push it away. And of course, Lego Piece is still like the X is fully scaled. This X is really scary. As long as you touch as long as the X is alive, there really is nothing you can do right now. You have to make sure the X just can't get the core, and it's looking very, very easy to do so. But still, the Lego Piece is still being active in the position he needs to be. He gets the speed, he gets everything. He's taking a lot of damage, but still, he's going to be walking up effortlessly. Be able to do anything he wants. And the flip coming out for this SMG sets up the power play once again for the speed, as his core gets sent all the way through. KO trying to be found onto Yugi, but can't seem to be done so, as now the core is still in overtime, coming in already. 5 seconds left to go, and of course the speed is still looking strong. Toss still the flip ready to go, as now overtime now ready to go. Everything on the cards. 1-2 punch will have a lot of impact starting from now. Flip going all the way around, doesn't get denied though, as now Yuki has to burn the supernova to try to keep the core in possession on the bottom side. The speed still strong. Lucas holding on to dear life. The kill found too, and it's only a matter of time. 2v3 power play as the toss still has Flip ready to go. She sends it all the way around, but there's no stopping the Lego train. Match points for wild cards.
That was insane. Also, why is X this fast? That is a big man moving at like Mach 1. Why does X get to move that fast? I don't like it. I don't like it. No, sir. But this is what we got to deal with. Beautiful rejection of the flip, however. Both barriers down in very quick succession on the side of a wild card. Vibe check, not willing to go quietly. One barrier down on their side, however. Ooh, look at all that life drop from SMG. Lego trying to end them, but no dice. Flip comes out, knocks it through,
Oh, no.
and the finish by SMG means set 5.5. Here we go.
Set 5.5 ready to go. The energy economy still on the side of wildcards. SMG trying to just get anything set up now. Both brawlers have a lot to work through, as Lego Piece again is still so fast. Just look how fast he's moving, and one barrier will be taken away. Flip also burned on the other side, and Yuki looking worse for wear. Everything could be gone. Life expected taken away, and will be brought back to life. Flip going out, and barrier found. Everything on the side of Nero now, because Nero needs it for the most part. Yuki falls, and now we've seen this tale too many times. Lego Piece walking up, has another flip ready to go. He's spurred 2 flips so far, and now everything trying to be thrown in. Lego Piece, can he send it home? Yuki comes back online. Everything being thrown. Supernova also committed to the core going red. It's not even overtime yet, as now Lego Piece, just look how fast he's still moving so quickly, as Lucas and Nier just have to connect one more time. One more time, the Lego Piece is what it takes but also on the other side too, the damage still being brought overtime, ready to go. Everything free, brought the X Maximus pop, everything going red. All I see is red. Lucas with flip ready to go. And the kill will be found once again, 3v2 power play, and look at Lego PC soaring like a madman. Flip being burnt, full rush committed, and also the flip from atop has to be burnt too. Power play still ongoing. Can they do it before they can it? Yes, they can! Lego Bees again! The EUSL Brawler putting on a masterclass and saying the set 5.5 home to cards.
Welcome to Lego C, everybody. Enjoy your stay. But that is a wrap. Wildcards take it 2 and out. Vibe check made them sweat and bleed and hurt for every single inch, but Wildcard did indeed take it home. Like, very, very, very incredible, very spirited play from both teams. But that is how the cookie crumbles on this one.
Look at the Lego Peas. I have glazed him enough, but you must glaze him more. 5 KOs and 127 redirects. Yep. This is true brawler fashion, boys. Every time a brawler gets a KO, you must scream, "Go Lego Peas!" Because right now he has 2 wins under his belt, 2 appearances in EUSL, and even though his team in EUSA isn't competing too well, on cards, he is definitely putting on a masterclass, and that puts up cards 5-3, and Vibe Check will be basically eliminated.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah, that I'm pretty sure that that mathematically eliminates Vibe Check, but boy, was it a heck of a way to go out if that was it. I mean, that was just woo. Just hard beatings, and just managed to, like I said, they made them work and work and work for it.
Yeah, 40k on the line isn't enough to stop the Vibe Check from being eliminated off the map. So now, with the playoff picture ready and basically set for both sides of USA and EUSL, we're basically ready to go into playoffs mode. But we still have 2 weeks left and still 2 games left to be played this week. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back with 2 more games of EUSL coming your way. Stay tuned.
Ok, bonjour à tous. Nous retournons à EUSL saison 4. Je ne sais pas la semaine, honnêtement, mais on a, euh, comme d'hab, on a déjà eu 2 matchs et on va voir le dernier 2 matchs maintenant. Plus notablement, cette match-là inclut les chats de Turquie et donc il faut que je parle français. Hein, et plus notablement, cette équipe, les Chats de Turquie, ils sont toujours en train de chercher la première victoire de la saison, mais ça n'arrive pas. Mais notablement, la semaine dernière, ils ont finalement gagné un set. Et donc, oui, il peut être probable. Oh, je ne sais pas. La grammaire. Okay, that's enough of that unserious
Enough
language. We're gonna
of
switch to
that
English.
nonsense.
Yeah,
Yep.
enough of that nonsense. I
I'm s-
forgot. Man, it's been a while since I've spoken this language. But okay, yeah, no. In honor of English. Okay, the character drafter is back, but no, as I was saying, Turkey's cats are looking to find their first victory of the season. Notably, they took a set last week, so that's progress in the right direction, and we'll see if they're able to build on that momentum here.
Yeah, we've got this Times Creator Sparker focused Taika Temple game. I think, a Times Creator start on this map in particular. I mean, I know for sure why this is an Asher ban because you can kind of just spam these creations, especially on the start. We see the Atlas ends up coming through first pick for cats, which makes a lot of sense. But on the other side, Zentaro been rising up the charts in recent history with the patch. Everyone was getting a bit of a nerfed and him getting a slight buff. So overall, he's ended up in a quite good spot. Same with now. Getting some more popularity in Europe, especially with either of these awakenings. It's going to be very hard for this Amy in the opposing midfield to win an interaction.
For sure. It'll also be interesting to see. We do have Sparks on the board. Sparks have experienced a bit of a rework. It'll be interesting to see how many people on the map opt for it. I mean, there's a lot of non-creation characters on the board, so it's probably going to be an item of hot contention. And now there's only 3 of them. Not a lot of Sparks to come by, so that could. But now, obviously, they add a lot more benefit to the person, to their beholder. So that'll be an interesting dynamic playing out about who, if anyone, contests for these Sparks. Notably, we are seeing the Dubu coming out in the back of the bus for Vast. Probably, yeah, I would put money on it being the goalie. No Zoli or now goalie, I would reckon. So yeah, pretty conventional. A timeless creator, it's like hit or miss. Sometimes you get value, and sometimes the wall is so big the physics go even crazier that it own goals even more. So interesting.
Okay, I'm not gonna spoil it just yet, but I'm seeing a very interesting, I think, thematic name on one of the cats. I'm sure everyone once we're in the game will see it. But in terms of the draft here, uh, I'm I'm thinking that this Kazan might struggle to get through the Duru uh, of Alex here. We haven't seen him whip it out in a very long while. Maybe back in the Sheb days when he was practicing some of these picks, but still, both of these lockdown goalies very annoying to score through. As you know, uh, Zen, Kazan, both are very good at scoring, in particular on open net, but they're not too great at being able to shove it through something like an Atlas or Dubu. So if one of these goalies is just locking up the enemy brawler straight up, I mean the team is just going to struggle. There's not much you can do, especially on this map where I think these melee goalies have certainly a big advantage in just being able to force it through the corner.
And this is a complete non sequitur from what you were saying. I'm sorry, but there is a very powerful name in the lobby. We have seen another Turkey's cat's name change, and this one might
Hey,
just
don't
be the
spoil it.
one. This might just be the one that gets them their first victory on the season. I'm kind of quivering in my boots. Not to mention the profile picture is quite intimidating as well. So this might be what it finally takes for this team to unlock the gear that's always the capacity that's always been latent within them, and we'll see if indeed this new look Turkey's cats are able to land the plane. Sure, there might not be all too much to play for, but pride is on the line. And I think that that's always something to play for as far as I'm concerned. So I cannot Cannot wait for the viewers at home to see this new addition to the Turkeys Cats team.
Yeah, and speaking of pride, I think one thing we must remember is that I believe it was us two actually that casted this matchup in the previous pool of EUSL, and in that game, I mean, we were somewhat devastated on the cast watching what was happening to Cats. Vass scattered their bodies across the ground in 2 games in a row, and it was rather brutal. So I'm sure, having experienced that, Cats are gonna come with a bit of fire in this game, and I'm hoping they do. Um, yeah, but we'll see if basically we just get a repeat of that.
I forget, is Wa owner, is that Noctolite?
Um, I'm honestly gonna go look at their roster declaration because
I
I
forget
don't know
which
who's
one's
who.
which, man.
Um,
Okay, at least Immaculator's straightforward. He has no like quirky thematic names, so I can keep that. I can keep that duck in a line. But yeah, I don't. I genuinely like. I do not know
oh,
who's
yeah.
Noctolite is. Is Noctolite Wa owner?
Um, Doctor is Wa Ona, and Godslayer is Whistle.
Okay, so no
I
spring on the map today. Okay. Okay, so now I have my bearings, and now we can get into the cast we were born to do. Immaculator losing his first barrier off of a little bit of a strange ricochet, not to mention losing the interaction in midfield up against Venom Yami means that our first barriers have fallen in rapid fire succession, but God Slayer getting around God up into this midfield and trying to work the ball forward. Interesting interplay between the two defenders of the Cats there to somehow stall and long enough to find the right opening, but Alex is just so big and so impressive that it's so hard to get it around this big hamster, especially when he's throwing down that wall and just denying so much space in the midfield. Now, Wa owner, careening forward, trying to make things happen 1v1, but you're never going to really get anything done into the now Dubu tandem defense. But there we go. Go 1v1. Now Godslayer up against God here in the pocket. We'll see who prevails. A good cutting of the pass by Godslayer, and I'm on 10,000 ping, but it went in. So good job. I think that, oh, it's Godslayer that gets the goal there. So that was pretty cool.
Nicely played, winning those interactions and then getting the dash through Alex, who did have a flip, just seemingly not wanting to use one for that point. As Immaculator holding down that first barrier, but the first one actually falls recently after I say that, and the second one as well, off a crazy angle there, rebound off the flip. But still, they have chances, but maybe not too many now that 2 of their players are taken off the map here. There is one flip down on the other side, but flip's also taken away from them, so not a great spot to be in for the side of Cats.
Oh, yeah, rough interaction to take there as goalie. Maybe you just shrug your shoulders and let it go in, but then again, maybe Alps doesn't even flip if you don't flip. So in any case, yeah, just a rough checkmate situation to deal with. But energy reset on the part of 2 players. God is lagging, and Alex is not lagging. There's no excuse for that on his end, but there we go. Another goal and within 14 seconds for Turkey's Cats, and they now have the lead against Vass here in this first set.
Yeah, a bit of teammate synergy there when you lag and then they lag. You know that's a team that have been through things together. Right now, though, Venom's going through something rough as he gets flipped. He gets everything shot at him, but and eventually he does die. Did have the evade, but maybe didn't react in time to find it. As now, though, it's still a tough chore to be able to convert through a Dubu who has wall and all of his other cooldowns. So at the end of the day, after that power play, nothing more is found, and Noctilite did actually use his flip on that kill. So not too great energy situation here for the Cats.
Well, God and Godslayer once again duking it out. Looks like God is getting the better of his adversary for the time being, especially now that the flip is blown. Energy could become very hard to come by, but oh my God, call Immaculator, Jesus Christ, throwing down the res, coming back from the dead is Godslayer to continue to push this offense, but just is unable to find a couple key interaction wins, meaning that the ball shoots out up onto the other end of the field, and God wins the 1v1. Now, everyone kind of crowded there in that J corner, trying to push something through, but the defense holds, not to mention the whip whiff strike out of owner means that the ball's just going to go right back towards Immaculator, who admittedly has a pretty solid kit, but has just have to blow all of it. Might not even have primary, which is not what you want to have, or what the situation you want to be in, given that the offense is about to come your way, but should have something up his sleeve. There goes the primary. He's able to get it through God. While owner conversely having a bit of trouble to do anything up into this Alex Dubu. I mean, Dubu, it's like riding a bike. Even if Alex has not played him in a hot minute, it's just pretty low skill expression character, all things considered. So he's able to just play this first principles defense extremely well. And up the other end of the field, a first principles strike right into the top corner. Good goal from Vast to even things out on the set.
Yeah, I think we're seeing here a struggle in terms of comp. I mean, it's 2-2, but the issues we're seeing there won't be resolved with Awakenings, where it's just not seeming to be possible for the front line to get through there now in the Dubu. They just don't have the tools in their kit. Flip is out from Alex, though, and he does lose his barrier as well. Loses the second, but Immaculator loses one as well. That's 3 barriers from one flip. Talk about return on investment. But still, it's Waona with a great strike, but Alex just able to react in time. Flip comes out from God here, but still, none of the goalies are falling. It is a very nice matchup, I think, for the Kazan here. If he's able to get into a good spot in front of Alex as the Dubu, but Venom wastes the flip there, has no evade anymore, and is killed, punished there completely by Whistle.
Bang!
And, wow, great play there by Cats to take the first set, to most people's surprise, I'd say.
They're calling it the worst comp of all time, but I mean, it's working, evidently. Immaculator being rewarded with first pick. There's a lot of good stuff on the board. Most notably, I don't think Kazan loses this draft unless, like, everyone starts hate targeting him, because I see Rapid, I see Build, I see Demo. That'll be good, and I think that'll especially be helpful to get through this Dubu if it falls his way. There's just so much there. Okay, so he does get the Demo. And no, wait, the Zen gets the Demo, he gets the Build different. And then through the end of the draft, we do see more stagger on this Imi, but Dubu has more logs, which could be a bit more scary.
Yeah, I honestly, frankly, I have no idea why this Atlas didn't go rapid fire here. I think it's so crazy strong, especially on Atlas, who is relying on this primary a lot, and it's a very consistent tool. So yeah, giving it to the Dubu. I mean, Dubu primary is in some situations very nice, but in general, I think a bit worse than Atlas primary. But still, the rapid fire on the Dubu here is going to be rather annoying to deal with, especially with one less member on the field and one barrier falling again. Venom goes for an angle here off the drum, but nothing found just yet. Of course, the Cats are not out of this point still, but it's definitely a rough situation as an Atlas in an open net spot. But maybe Alex's aggression can be punished here by the Cats.
Oh, Alex finding the clear though. Venom Yami coming back as is God to work the defense, and I was kind of looking at the concentration of the 3 Voss forwards on their barrier and didn't see where Immaculator was positioned as to allow that ball to just roll in rather sadly, but clearly that's what happened. But I guess on the flip side, he has flipped, so, you know, not the end of the world. Now the flip is gone and isn't able to get barrier value either. So things could be getting a little dicey here in the Cats goal arc soon if they're not able to layer abilities efficiently, which they decided they do not. Now we've got an open goal with Venom threatening with flip. Opts to blow it early, though, trying to feed it into God, but God is unable to work his holy magic, and a ball all the while goes up the other end of the field. Godslayer playing for their life is now in a nice position to flip, but ultimately opts not to let it rip, looking for a better opportunity, which that was not. The midfield flip coming to nothing, and all the while God getting the better of Immaculator with that primary and tapping it right through him.
Yeah, certainly. And no energy here for Godslayer. Same with the enemy midfielder of Venom, but I think this flip on the forward of Alves could be quite decisive if he manages to stop lagging and get one nicely on the aggression. As first barrier taken as well quite swiftly, looking for the second one here, but turret is deployed. Would be a shame if they lose it despite that. As a cheese kill attempt comes out, that's some great coordination and possibly even help them to get the ball through and get the barrier, but still the monumental task is to get the final one.
There's so many buttons being thrown to that effect here in the corner, but I mean, apparently the buttons of Team Voss coming up trumps in that particular set of interactions, but there we go. Owner forcing the issue with a rapid fire flip that nobody on Team Fast is able to respond to. Now we're looking, oh, God has taken down Godslayer. Absolute reversal. Did not have that on my bingo card given the names, but it was not nominative determinism. God taking his fate into his own hands and also taking that sick barrier. Venom might have been able to flip there, but it was ultimately a bit hesitant, meaning that the cats are still alive in this point, but their energy situation is looking far beyond grim. Good reaction check. The patience from Immaculator means that the ball is kept out of the arc, but now we'll see if anything can happen up on the other side of the field, but the wall from Alex just thrown down, persists for seconds upon seconds, and kills the offensive momentum that the Cats were able to build up there in that fleeting moment. Immaculator just trying to do the right thing. His circle is forced out of him, but is getting some free energy off of it. Oh goodness gracious, Mamma Mia, what a way to go down. But there we go, quick 3-0 for Voss. Alex claiming the credit, and we're now one apiece on sets.
Yeah, now with the first pick here, and that was very dissimilar to the first set there. A very dominant showing here. I mean, honestly, now, nothing too crazy. Of course, the X-Blow is quite nice for the move speed, but I think Atlas getting the missile prop right behind is probably scarier, and actually does result in a deny here. Extra special dropping to the Dubu is a big one, especially with this timeless creator. We've seen, I mean, of course, we know Alex, not a player who's hesitant to walk up. But speaking of walking up, I think Glass Cannon very nice on a goalie like Atlas. With the Siege Machine and the Strike Shot can, you know, if you walk up far enough, you basically have missile prop with that. So not a too bad draft for either side here.
Lot of chaos unfolding here in bot lane. Owner having to rip the Kazan ultimate to survive there. Does manage to do so and looks to be in good shape. Also, the bottom barrier for the Cats is not in good shape. Lose it, actually. But there could still be potential for them to come back in this point. Good footsie around the Zentaro dash. I'm not entirely sure. That might have been a function of lag, but Immaculator will be thankful nonetheless that he was able to weather that particular storm. Godslayer and Immaculator both layering abilities and strikes between each other, not to mention the good preemptive secondary coming out of Immaculator means they're not quite alive anymore in this point, but it was a good for initial attempt at defense, but the offense from God proves to be a bit too much to handle in this particular instance.
Yeah, just too many hit zones coming through from this enemy comp, and the ball is just not very consistently getting to the Dubu, which is something you hate because there's basically nothing this Kazan can do if every time the Dubu gets the ball, he has all his cooldowns. Wow, crazy angle to get that one through the Dubu ult there. Very nicely done by Immaculator with the flip as God trying to work onto this final barrier, but nothing found there. And Venom Yami also having flip alongside Alex, so I think, you know, unless they're able to find both of these right now, they're just seeming to be shot again, reminiscent of the first series we saw. Seems like there's nothing Whistle will be able to do to play his life.
Seems to be living for the time being, though, obviously at the expense of being able to do anything into this Chungus Dubu. And unfortunately, owner not quite having the tools in their kit to take the interaction solo. Taking the interaction solo is Venom Yami, though, with that now Dorito just about taking the barrier. And that is a good piece of individual play out of Alves there, slotting past both Godslayer and Immaculator with a really delayed dash to the top corner. And now Fast, once again, looking poised to take the set with a 2-0 advantage over Hercules Cats.
Yeah, certainly, and once again, on the offense early on here, I'm sure Alex is looking to walk up with the extra special Tofu Fortress here, but we'll have to use it on the defense, actually, as the cheese kill comes out, attempted by God Slayer onto Alves here, but nothing found quite yet on either side. Noctilite, though, very, very low here. Has full Berserker, but not going to matter as the Zentaro passive just comes up from Kill Confirm. And, I mean, Godslayer being in this lobby is doing something here. Something to Alves' internet, possibly, as Immaculator, actually with a great flip, which means that both of the forwards of the Cats are able to convert onto offense, but of course, the now ult just coming down and maintaining that 2v2 situation. So still, looks like it's going to be a long day before this final barrier of Alex is going to fall.
Yeah, and probably likewise for Immaculator because like Alpha is genuinely being DDoSed. He is rubber banding all over the place with lag, apparently a non-issue for the Vast Forward. Oh my god, bro. But yeah, apparently a non-issue for the Vast Forward. Is able to take the barrier without too much issue. Good Strike War interaction one in the midfield by Godslayer, but it's looking super dangerous. Venom Yami with that flip, but not so dangerous is Alex blowing his own for fun, meaning that the defense might, I mean, the offense might be a bit more tenable for the side of the Cats if Wa Owner can just win one good interaction, and that is exactly what Wa Owner does, using the primary to great effect to hook it right into that top corner, just out of reach of the Doobie roll.
And that's exactly what Kazan can do in the open net versus the Mamboots Dubu. But the problem is just consistently getting there. First barrier does drop nicely, but still remains to be seen how this Amy turret, who is just it's just rather miserable when the Dubu is the one with the extra special, because there's nothing your ability can do, and he has it more than you. And of course, Dubu, one of the best abilities in the game, so very rough to play into with the extra special here. Working once again though, nicely done by Noctilite, and a great flip into stun combination by Godslayer here means that just like the first set, we're back to 2-2, and in that one it was Cats that took the final goal.
See if they can get over the hump once again. I think they are playing pretty well, all things considered. I mean, shout out Immaculator for already being Omega within 3 sets. Has shown that it's has a capacity to hold, and that has bought his forwards a lot of time to try to work these offenses in spite of the disadvantageous comp. But yeah, we'll see if they're able to win a couple more key interactions. They do look to have their back against the wall here in this really tricky situation, and the flip is forced out of Alves to take that second barrier, but that does mean that they're a bit bereft of energy to push these offenses for the time being. That said, Venom Yami encroaching, creeping up to flip, but Alex might be cucked here. But okay, yeah, is the wall lasting 10 billion years, having to bleed the flip out of him, which is not ideal, but Immaculator should be able to hold. Oh, he kind of does, but Godslayer saving the day, Immaculator not saving the day. No abilities to his name, unfortunately. So the third set goes the way of Vass.
Yeah, once again, now the MVP here, I think she's pretty insane on this map, so it does make sense. Has options here, has the FOF, of course, the aerials, maybe the hot shot, so that the Atlas doesn't get it. There's plenty of options here. I think, yeah, considering, you know, the Zen ahead of the enemy midfielder, the FOF deny is probably fine. This Atlas, though, taking out a Spark, actually, that's... I don't actually... I guess just denying it away from the Zen here. But I assume that happening would mean that this FOF doesn't end up being taken. But I guess the Kazan ends up getting it. I think the bulk up could be very nice in combination with the peak performance. Of course, they don't do too much scaling off each other, but it's nice to be unkillable as Amy, a character who, you know, her recent struggles, I think, have been her not having a very high HP pool, so we'll have to see how well Whistle is able to live on her now.
Actually, how on earth did that hold happen? Whatever, it did, and that's very good if you're a member of the Cats, because now they're able to push forward with a bit more liberty. They do end up taking Alex's bottom barrier. The Dubu now retreating to top lane to hold on to what he has left. Immaculator not so lucky or fortunate up on the other end of the pitch, losing that second barrier and also losing his midfielder and losing his flip. It is just a story of constant loss for this goalkeeper, and just about gets tapped around once again by Venom Yami. For another quick fire Vass goal, they capitalize on that power play quite brilliantly.
They certainly do, as on the kickoff ball spawning topside here, once again, this interaction that is such a struggle for Amy. You see, you know, Godslayer's adaptation choice is basically, I'll let my Atlas take that one and I'll look for a cheese since they're near the wall, which I think is a good game plan, but of course, when they have so much move speed and are able to be locked in, it's a very rough spot still. Although now, nice turret there, and actually second barrier does drop. So, of course, once again, we've got the Kazan in the open net. The Amy, of course, as well, has nice scoring, but whoa. I guess they struck that one into the Atlas primary. Very nicely played, making use of both the glass cannon and the siege machine and the strike shot to walk up. Nicely done.
Good work. You know, sometimes you gotta resort to unconventional means to take these goals against the Dubu. So I'm all for it. Immaculator getting into the fray, but not winning that interaction, unfortunately. He can attack, but maybe can't defend. Evidently so. Does lose the barrier within 13 seconds, which is unfortunate, but you do have two teammates sitting on Flip heading into this point, so not the end of the world. But this cat side really does need to lock in if they want to have any chance to close out this game.
Yeah, it feels just demoralizing for cats. Every time they work their way and scrape towards an inch, Vast just take a mile away from them. So, still, it's not a bad start for them in this point. Of course, Whistle is quite low, but Venom is as well. And if they're able to deny him the ball, he won't be able to heal up too well with this Reptile. Unfortunately, though, it looks like Godslayer is off the map, but it's a nice Atlas ult that discourages Alves from actually going for the finish there. And if
Oh, no.
Immaculator, oh no, once again a double, and this point seeming to be all but over with the Dubu wall coming down and everything else crashing towards this net of cats.
There still is a last chance here, a last hope. If they are able to get this barrier, which they do, this could be the momentum swing that the Cats need. They just have to keep the ball in this danger. Oh my god! LeBron James, Steph Curry, Tiger Woods, people who are good at aiming, they have all lent their power to Owner. He splits the difference immaculately between the two defenders of Vast there, and somehow, some way, the Cats are not dead.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we've seen in the past every time Cats scored a goal, Vast scored one within 15 seconds. Possibly, Cats want to ruin that streak, though, as they got some nice offense that caused the flip, but unfortunately Noctilite, they're dashing into the Zen ultimate, so possibly a bit too low to hang with this Dubu, who, as we know, is just going to slam and primary off cooldown onto the Kazan, who will be on top of him. Still though, Flip comes out, nicely placed, but Alex is too locked in on the strike war, and unfortunately for them, Noctilite doesn't die and doesn't get the heal from us, so it becomes even worse. A series of unfortunate events, Noctilite's off the map, their barriers are too, and Vas take game one.
Calculator struck and then circled instead of circled and then striking. All good though, that was a valiant fight by Turkeen's Cats there. Taking a set, I think is that their second set on the season, or have they? No, wait, yes, wait, no, I don't know.
No,
is that their second set, or have they taken more than 2 sets?
No, they've taken more than 2. They got their first game win.
Oh, that's what I was thinking about.
Yeah,
What I was thinking about. Okay, but yeah, no, they got a set off of Vast and almost took 2 more off of them. So valiant fight, all things considered, and it is not over. Perhaps a harbinger of things to come, especially if they can keep DDoSing Alps. Whatever they're doing to destroy his internet is clearly to their advantage, and they should keep doing that. So yeah, I think there is definitely promise in this series if they're able to capitalize or continue to execute on those good moments they had, while also perhaps mitigating some of the defensive collapses in the back, and they definitely are money for this series.
Certainly are. I mean, you spoke about the lag. For all the OG viewers out there, that one was looking like prime packet loss Lila there on Germany servers. So yeah, hopefully we get some good clean Omega Strikers without any issues, but despite that, Vas were able to get the dub. I think it's still quite scary going into the next map. Taiko Temple I feel is a very strong map usually for Cats. So on another map, I mean, possibly they can do better, but this was maybe, their chance, their shot on this map to get it done. They were very close. If we count the goals, it was 7 goals to 9. So clawing at greatness there, but still not quite enough. We'll be moving on to the next map, which I believe is Night Market here. And that one is Cats' pick. Another map that's kind of similar to Taiko in the way that, you can kind of play those creation characters now. Is also really strong on that map as well. Just generally characters that have good shoving can get it done.
I think it might have been last week. Whenever the Cats last played on Night Market, I know they had a very impressive showing. I think it was Immaculator's EUSL goalie debut. And that might have been when they took a game. They might have taken their game on Night Market, if I'm not mistaken. In any case, they played very well on Night Market. So, yeah, I think There's no. I think I'm definitely not. Who the hell is Wagacorp CEO?
Yeah, I'd like to announce that God has been slayed. Okay,
Who is this guy? Wait.
because that is Brack blah blah. Um,
Okay. Oh, goodbye, elves. Okay, so we've lost.
yeah,
We've lost
God,
God, and
God
now
was
wow.
slayed.
Okay, so
Um,
this is just name change central. Wagacorp CEO, I guess picking up the pieces of God's broken internet. So this will be interesting. Has Brack been in EUSL before, or am I tripping?
so Brack played one game in EUSL Season 2 on my team. Um, so that's his experience in EUSL, but of course, his team, My Men Club, Mickey Mouse Club, sorry, got second place in Sheb EU, so losing only to Vass. So definitely a player that can get it done. I think was one of the best brawlers in Europe leading up to the season. Maybe hasn't played so much, so could be a bit rusty, but definitely not a major downgrade here for the side of Vass. But all remains to be proven on the field by both teams.
I feel like you could put a lot of people in that are simply not lagging, and it would be definitionally not a downgrade. So, provided Wagacorp CEO, Brack, whatever they may go by, has decent internet, I feel like this is definitely a cash money change. That said, going back to the nature of the map, obviously, little bit easier to rotate since you have that middle barrier. It's also a pretty strong Atlas map. If Immaculator is able to get his Atlas again, low key, like yeah, they could. I would not count the Cats out of this game, especially if they maybe just spec into hardcore control and have an Atlas just first principles defense locking it down in the back. They could have a shot. They could.
Yeah, I just want to say production has corrected me. Bragg also played 4 games in Windows in Season 1, so 5 total, but has not won a series yet or a game. So we'll have to see if his luck will change here or if he'll be the curse with us. We are on Night Market here. Bulk
Okay.
Up built different. I think I think that's a cat's start. Both of these awakenings I could see Cats doing well with, so I don't think they're too disappointed. Um, and yeah, they are first pick once again.
Said Vass also really loves killing people. Like a lot, a lot. It's understandable that the cats insta ban the X. Um, Obviously not as much prevalence here in EU, but still someone, if he makes it to set 3, he has the capacity to absolutely run away with your games, especially given this starting Awakening set and given the potential pilot. So that's understandable. Up the other end of the field, obviously, owner's iconic Kazan getting banned out by Vass, especially given the build difference start. That's pretty understandable.
Juliet first pick here. Like both of these awakenings, I presume will probably opt for the bulk up, maybe even the pums. I wouldn't be too surprised to see it, but I'm honestly more curious about what non-conventional midfield Whistle could pick out on this map because I think you know either like something weird like Dubu Ash or maybe even his patented Atlas actually have a bit of a niche on this map as very strong shoving characters. But we see here different player, same character. The Zentaro once again the first pick for the side of Vass. I honestly wouldn't be too surprised if they backed it up with the Now again. Very strong pick on this map, but they are waiting a bit, so maybe they want to lean into the damage a bit more than Now does. And it is the Estelle, actually.
Yeah, very understandable pick. Given the awakenings, I think the game plan becoming more and more evident for this vast side. For the cats, it's always a mixed bag. I think it'll definitely be a function of this next pick, or perhaps these next 2 picks. Really, are they going to pick a midfielder that kills people or a midfielder that rotates the core? Guess we'll see imminently. They really pontificating here. They are leaving it till pretty much the last second. And there we go. Asher, I assume that's probably Asher goalie, or are they genuinely running the Julie Asher forward duo?
It remains to be seen. I think it's probably the goalie here. Immaculata, when he was playing Brawler, was mostly known for playing Asher. But of course, if they want to Okay, yeah, it is the Rune in the midfield. I think Rune quite nice here. A character that's really slippery, hard to kill, has good peel for teammates as well. So it makes a lot of sense. And of course, creation's very nice on this map, especially since so far the enemy team haven't got a character that want to pick up those creations. So for Rune, it's kind of a feast here in terms of awakenings. But to round out the comp, it's Vice. I presume it's Alex on the Vice, but could be either way with the Estelle here. All remains to be seen.
Ice coming out. Man, yeah, this vast team is going to hurt you quite a bit. Quaking in my boots, frankly. It will be interesting to see if we're going like hella damage and we're doing Zentaro and Vice out in the field and with a Stell goalie on Alex or Alex on the Vice or maybe even the Zentaro. Never count him out. But no, more seriously, yeah, it will be interesting to see exactly how much damage this vast team intends on dishing out. The Estelle would allow for some core control in spite of the killing capacity of their two teammates. But yeah, we'll just have to see. The Q has been popped, so we'll see imminently where these characters are going to finally slot into each light up.
Certainly will. I think in terms of awakenings, you'd be rather mad as one of these cats forwards to not pick up the bulk up. I think the Asher here, especially, I mean, could go strike shot or pauldrons, but either way, I think the build different. Going to be quite nice. If you're a bit afraid of taking damage, you could go the pauldrons instead of the strike shot, or take the bulk up with the strike shot. But still, I think just taking double size might just be too good. And yeah, it is the pauldrons built different on both goalies actually. Alex wanting to make use of that 7% impact damage, and the pummelers out onto Noctilite here. So we'll have to see if he can get any kills before he is the one killed himself.
Julie is already staggered, bro. It hasn't even been 10 seconds. That is the nature of the map and the comms, and now is okay, good dodge. W dodge is able to hold on, even though that orb was very obviously a bait. That said, I mean, yeah, we're kind of back to both teams working to full commission here. That said, Immaculator losing a trivial interaction, meaning the first barrier will fall. That said, good interplay up the other end of the field between Godslayer and Owner to take almost take the bottom barrier, but it persists for the time being. Alex finding Wagacorp's CEO, who is now not long for this earth, but just about survives the double pillar onslaught, but cannot survive the Julie dash punch. But Julie paying the price with her own life, an eye for an eye, meaning we are now 2 players apiece on this map, and Immaculator managing to hold on to the barrier incredibly, but cannot do so on the second time of asking.
Yeah, and oh wow, almost a shocking redirect there coming out from the pillar, but another kill found right on spawn by Noctilite there, and that's a big one. Finally able to make use of this pummeler's speed here, and now though they still have to work their way through Alex, and if you give him the outclear for free like that, he's gonna say thank you very much. Godslayer taken very, very low here. Same can be said for Noctilite. One of them off the map. The other, if he's looking to help out with the... Oh my god, he finds another kill!
Oh,
but it doesn't matter.
Use energy burst. Oh, good. That was a sick kill. I'll give owner that. But yeah, I think something that's beginning to concern me already is that this is stock Voss. Like, this is set 1 Voss, and they're already finding these really sustained attrition type kills. Obviously, this Julie is able to respond in kind for the time being with these cheeky dash punches off the ledge, but I am starting to be a bit concerned at this damage output and perhaps the incapacity of the cats to deal with it. But I guess we'll have to see if adaptations can come in to help assuage that concern, but it looks like it's just going to get worse and worse because Immaculator has lost the second barrier, meaning it is an open net up against this Asher goalie.
Wow, and Venom plays the ball around him nicely, but not able to do any more other side of Vass. And wow, that's a great kill, meaning that finally this Juliet is not just base slower than everyone in the game, has a lot of speed here, but has to still get it through Alex, who found a great strike, but too much to get another one into this rune of Whistle. And it's actually just rolling through all the members of Vass, I guess, thinking that someone else had it. And it just rolls right up to Noctilite, who gets to retain the flip for the next point.
Yeah, so huge to be able to hold on to this flip here. Oh, but the
Oh,
flip is gone.
but
And there is a universe where if Zentaro was super locked there, then Julie was probably dead. But no, Oder hangs on to their life just about. And now, bunch of abilities. 2 ultimates coming out simultaneously to defend this top barrier. Not to mention the primaries also succeeding that to that effect. But the side of Voss just says, okay, we're going to go around you instead. And what turning on the style points is Venom Yami hitting the reverse ricochet off of that median there to take the second barrier in spite of the good delaying action by Immaculator. And Alex there, right place, right time to capitalize on the brilliant play of the Voss midfielder to tuck it in for a pretty rapid fire second goal.
yeah, I think just miscommunication, misplay out there by Cats, who use both Julie ult and a flip to shut down Venoms, but they just kind of shut each other down. First barrier does fall first on the side of Vas, but still, Whistle in the midfield has no evade anymore and has no secondary. And speaking of having nothing, the barrier is dropping for Immaculator here, and Asher into the Centauro, who has a flip, is rather scary. Great banish to force it out, and an even better TP to find the barrier. Very cleanly done by Whistle, but still, it is this Julie once again taken off the map, and Whistle has a big task here to hold the ball until this Juliet is back on the field.
It's looking to be good. Immaculator spacing out the abilities correctly in order to hold on to his flip, but is not able to reposition in time to deal with the onslaught of Vass offense. And Wagacorp CEO in the right spot to tap that around the Azure, whose dash gets body blocked by someone, some member of Vass. And now we're seeing a Vice with first pick in the draft, so this could prove to be the beginning of a pretty rocky road. That said, I mean, this draft is insane for Vice.
Yeah, I think Vice looking to deny the peak and make sure the Sestel is able to pick up the hot shot. I wonder if this rune wants something like the Monu even, because they've been, yeah, I personally, when I play rune, I'm not too big of a fan of Monu, but when they're playing so much for these cheese kills, the Monu is actually providing a lot of value if the enemy forwards are unable to evade it. The demo, somewhat just a deny out, I'd say, from the Asher, but let's pick up the Orb Dancer, which I think can be rather nice on a goalie and an immobile goalie. So yeah, we'll have to see if he's able to stack those up, but as of right now, still, the side of Vass are just dominating the offense, it seems.
Good back rotate out of the trouble between Alex and Venom Yami. Immaculator once again caught on the missed position. Not ideal, but ideal is the damage being pushed onto the Centauro. Unable to Immaculator unable to contest the orb though, which is unfortunate, meaning that the Centauro is going to be back into like ship shape very soon. Once again, Venom Yami is proving that he is off the middle angle one-trick pony. Going for it again off of the flip was not quite as successful this time around, but did create sufficient chaos for Wagacorp CEO to be able to capitalize off of the disorganization of the Cats team and tap it in for another quick goal. Holds on to flip too, which is going to be huge.
Yeah, it certainly is. And if the barriers just keep dropping, I mean, there's not much that the Asher can do, especially as she doesn't get the orb. She's probably going to be killed soon. Although a great banish and dash punch might have turned the tables, but still, it is the kill out onto Asher. And the barrier dropping as well. Alex does the flip, gonna opt to use it here, but nice pillar, denying the goal out by Whistle. Unfortunately though, not in time to find the strike. And Brack just able to put it in the back of the net there.
It seemed like Godslayer was convinced the initial shot was going in, so they stopped moving. So then it looked really foolish once the ball actually bounced out and they were completely mispositioned to deal with the second rebound. But in any case, you shake those off as Owner is trying to do, walking forward and asking some difficult questions of Alex on this Vice. Does take the top barrier off, a bit of misdirection, but on the other side of the field, it's just the second barrier for Immaculator falls pretty rapidly, and it seems like it's going to go from bad to worse as Venom Yami expertly waits out the primary from Immaculator with a dribble, retains possession of the core, and a nice back pass from Alex seals the deal. In spite of the personnel disadvantage, only 2 vast forwards on the field, but 2 was all that was needed to win that particular offense.
Yeah, I mean, it's rather miserable to be in a 2v2 situation as Asher and Julie versus Estelle and Vice. I think just too much range on the enemy side. It is back with the first pick here, though. Ops the Adrenaline Rush, they have been finding the damage and the kills, so it does make sense here as Spark is taken away in exchange for the Among Titans on the midfield of Venom. I think probably doesn't want to let someone like the Rune pick it up. And that's a bit of greed there coming from Noctilite, taking the Omega Infuse Accelerator. I think if you're able to shimmy and move around, Night Market is a map where you can kind of hang in the middle and not exactly be easy to kill confirm, but still, if the damage is just coming out on kickoff and the barriers are coming out instantly, it's still a rather rough situation to be in.
But this Centauro is in an even rougher situation, has exploded off of the map. Godslayer and friends slaying everyone. They don't discriminate. Anyone can die, not just God. But in any case, Godslayer and friends now working the ball up the field, but they cannot find a barrier, meaning that they get nothing off of that power play, and we're back to 3v3, and almost instantaneously see the ball trickle in off of another good strike from Wagacorp CEO, who is proving to be pretty adept at striking today.
Yeah, certainly is proving that, and especially, having 30% size is able to win these interactions or even just take them with more confidence. Same with Alex here, and the barriers are just dropping so quickly here. Banish comes out but is blocked out. Although Zentaro here still taking it decently low, but seeming like the side of Cats are not looking to work onto him, just looking for the goal. But it might be the goal found on their side as their brawler is taken quite low here, especially if this adrenaline rush is procced by the Zentaro. But still manages to get the orb, is being hunted down though. But playing life excellently, I think, is Turkey. And regardless, they still need to find the second barrier. Flip forced, but still, their net is wide open here for the Zentaro who has flip.
Immaculator learning his lesson from the last game, being much more conservative with the flip so as to not just insta-die to Wagacorp CEO's flip immediately thereafter. That said, dying is happening on the other end of the field, and in that instance, the flip really should have been burnt, and the stun from Venom Yami means that the power play is capitalized on once again by the side of Voss, who are now 1 goal away from taking this series and putting Cats 8-0 or 0-8 on the season.
Yeah, certainly are. As right now, it is the side of Cats actually on the offense, but a Visalt will shut down any of Noctilite's hopes and dreams here, getting chased down once again, but he's been dodging abilities very well. Perhaps this Omega Infused Accelerator providing him, the survivability spike that he needed. And wow, just the presence of Rune there in the ult allowed him to survive for a bit longer, but the consequence is still that he ends up dead, and Adrenaline Rush is still popped onto the Centaur, who's going to have the cooldown soon. But some great walking up here coming out from Immaculator means that their barrier is not dropping just yet, and without your barrier down, you can't get scored on, and that's all you need in a game of Omega Strikers to be able to stall the power plays. Still though, it looks like this one might be cooked as Alex has the flip, has the ult, and now open that spot. We've been here before, Vast know how to convert.
They're looking to do so right now, but the primary from Venom Yami is snubbed out by a really well-timed banished out of this rune. But quite anticlimactically, we do see Venom Yami come out of the banish position correctly for an easy tap to the top corner and a much more emphatic victory here on the market this time around. I think the damage game plan was quite typically executed on to perfection. They just kept killing, staggering, or otherwise incapacitating the members of this Cats triad. And we do see Vast, as some would have predicted, storm to victory here.
Yeah, we see, on Cats' map, Vast just take it to them. Only 1 goal coming out from the side of Cats here. They tried valiantly. I think, they got into a lot of these open net situations, double open net, but especially once it ticks into OT, you're this Asher and you just don't have the open net capabilities that even the Vice, who's not a character that's traditionally known for her defense, it's still, just the primary alone is more than anything this Asher has. And yeah, it eventually too much for the backline to deal with, as Cats losing another series and Vast winning another, moving up on the ladder. I think, trying to push for this first seed going into playoffs. I think that they're almost certainly locked in by now, but everyone kind of fighting for seeding. So very nice win for them to get in this game that they took by storm.
For sure. That's all she wrote as far as this game is concerned. We'll throw to a quick break, but we'll catch you on the flip side with the matchup between Lockdown and Blob Gap, which is sure to be a good one, especially we've got two teams that are pretty closely matched, and as we said, vying for seeding at this point. So that'll definitely be a cracker of a game, so do not go anywhere. Hey, welcome back everyone to EUSL Season 4 week. I don't know, is this week 8? I probably.
Yeah.
But in any case, okay, we got final set of the day. We have Blobgap versus Lockdown. Two teams with pretty solid records, all things considered. At this point, both of their qualifications for playoffs are a pretty surefire thing, and right now they are just fighting for seeding, and fight they will, especially with a Taiko Tempo OIA start. There could be a lot of dying here.
Yeah, there absolutely could be. I mean, as you were saying, both these teams are actually, I believe, 5-2, alongside Vass until they got their win today. So the race for first is very close. I mean, as well, joined by wildcards who are who are 5-3 or something like that now, after the win they just got. So it's anyone's game. Someone is going to be knocked down out of these two to the level of wild cards. So, there's later stage matchups going to be ever important for playoff seeding. As you said, we're on Taika Temple here, trading Amy and Now bans here. I think Locke, they've seen that Yodes or Zar have very often played the Amy on this map and done a lot of damage, basically, and that's what they want to avoid. And Blobgap, I think, just don't want to play into the Now, who has a lot of healing, has a lot of core control, just all around horrifying to play versus on this map. And unsurprisingly, the Zentara first pick, one of the strongest brawlers. Seemingly, it is early days in terms of meta, but on this new patch, he's looking quite strong.
And we are seeing the Atlas come out of Blobgap. Could that be? Would that be Yodes on the Atlas, or are we seeing an Atlas forward here? I have not seen Yodes on the Atlas much. I assume he's capable, but that is definitely probably a block on Sloth if I had to imagine.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of melees, I think typically he has leaned in the past more towards Dubu, but he can certainly play the Atlas, especially we can see, what this comp is leaning towards in terms of Blob Gap. I'm not going to, there's a certain name we have for this type of comp. I'm not going to say it on stream, but no is no. And this is looking. Yeah, it's looking scary on the Tiger Temple here. Maybe Locke just want to invest in a bunch of damage, but if that doesn't end up bearing fruit, playing into this creation spam comp is going to be rather tricky.
We are seeing what I presume is Geo on his Estelle. Assuming it's main roster, they had a complete mixed bag roster last week, so I can never be too sure. I don't have Broadsheet open, but I'm going to assume that it's Geo here on the Estelle, probably with the patented OIA pickup. So I think definitely going to be a boon for core control. Yeah, I would almost guarantee it's Sloth here on this Asher. Seems to be his fallback option whenever the Atlas is not allowed on a map where he's aiming to play a lockdown. So yeah, I mean, pretty conventional comp coming out of lockdown, all things considered. Everyone getting a pick they're comfortable with that they can leverage to great effect. OIA is definitely going to complicate things, but also it might mean that Scythen on the Centaur will be feasting in the kill department.
Yeah, I mean, now the final pick that we see here is this Kazan coming out, and that's their option to play into this Asher goalie. So I think, certainly, especially Cookies, who I think is the best Kazan we've got, can play around an Asher well, has a lot of experience, but regardless, I mean, Asher on Taiko Temple is not, a character that's easy to get through. So either way, it's going to be quite hard to score on both of these goalies, I think. But I'd say if Blobgap are able to get set up and able to just deny, declares, do everything away from the Asher, even the Asher primary is not going to beat a billion Rune Pillars and Atlas secondaries in her corner. So yeah, we'll have to see. I think both teams have good comps and just need to play better, win more.
Ain't that the truth? Amen to that. But in any case, it'll also be interesting to see if it's an OIA sweep or if someone opts for the Berserker. I think realistically, maybe Centauro could take the Berserker here, given that it's already a pretty squishy character. But then again, I mean, you can leverage the OIA to great effect if you pick it up. So Loki might just be 6 of them across the board. But I guess we'll have to see. Depends on, because obviously the side of lockdown is capable of dealing damage, but it's maybe medium high damage. It's not like all out killing 24/7. So it would be interesting to see if the side of Blobgap feels comfortable picking up this OIA, or if they just put the fries in the bag and go berserker.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because typically an OIA game where you know the enemy team is going to pick damage, you want it into characters that are lacking range, so you can just run around them and where you can dodge abilities. The problem is, if the side of Lock opt for it, uh, one banish is going to blow them up, right? And I think that's the main concern. And after you get blown up by one banish, you know, despite the movement speed advantage that you maybe are going to have against the Kazan, he has 2 dashes, he has long range kill confirm. So I think it's a pretty scary OA pick. Of course, I'm very confident that Giovanni is going to want to pick it up, regardless of anything I've just said. One time I picked it in front of him in solo queue, and he said, "Hey, why'd you take my awakening?" So very much, I believe he's going to want to opt for it. But still, like I said, it's not an easy, you know, free OA pick game. You know, despite this not looking like a traditional damage comp for the side of Blob Gap, they certainly can do a lot of burst damage, which OA is going to struggle versus.
I think it could prove to be a very beneficial pickup for Yodsman. Once he loads into this lobby, it's Loki holding up the whole parade. But, you know, shame, flame aside, I think, yeah, it definitely will be helpful to have an Atlas who can fly forward and support you to build these boxes. I think you're going to need all the cooldowns you can get into this Asher defense because she just has like constant free win buttons. All of her buttons are free win buttons, quite frankly, but particularly that primary. So having the Atlas primary to counteract that or otherwise rob away and out clear is going to be huge. So the OIA, great to position yourself to that effect. That said, yeah, I don't know where Yodsman is. Like everyone else is here. They've been here. So what
Yeah,
gives?
he's on a quick break. He said he'll be right back. But anyway, I think you know I spoke to great lengths about how much damage the Blob Gap comp can do into an OIA, but certainly the same can be said about this lockdown Zentara style comp. And once again, you know the same struggles that might dissuade you into picking OIA are present in terms of just having a lot of range to kill confirm, especially if the Sten gets 1 dash, right? You know, you can't outrun a Zentara ultimate if you're staggered. You know, you can try, but the amount of range that these characters have means that if they're chipping you down because you have a low health, they're probably gonna find a way to kill you. Now, that's speaking of the characters. I think in terms of teams, Lockdown, they haven't conventionally been a team that plays a lot for damage, other than that one game where they decided to absolutely hate crime cats. But I think they're going to be just trying to play for core control as we've seen before, especially you know maybe not wanting to step outside of their comfort zone too far. As I think you know the main roster they've taken a break for one maybe a couple weeks even as a team as a whole. So yeah, getting back into the flow of things into this game versus another top team is not exactly something you want, but I'm sure Lockdown are going to rise to the occasion.
Definitely so. Will be a good one. And this just in, Yodes has returned and popped the queue. Well, I guess Sloth has popped the queue, but a person who popped the queue notwithstanding, here we go. We are finally getting into things. Yodsman has gotten his iconic Frankfurt server, which means I am now on red ping. So that is good. I'm going to be watching a slideshow, but I'll do my best. And here we go. The queue has been popped. We'll see the picks being locked in from both sides imminently. Probably going to be pretty conventional deal as we foretold. Oh, sextuple name off bug. Wow, it's really my lucky day. But we are seeing Slav lock the Asher, and yeah, Geo and Scythen also locking exactly who we projected them to pick. So looking to be pretty standard lockdown comp, as you were hinting at.
Yeah, thankfully we're not seeing any double midfield shenanigans, which both these teams I think are comfortable to whip out, so that you can pretty easily assume what these teams are picking. Now, the only OIAs are onto Sloth and Giovanni, interestingly. You mentioned it would have been nice for this Atlas to have, but maybe just valuing, if I'm taking hits from these long-range poke characters, I'm going to get my up to 50 CDR and I'm Atlas. So, possibly that could come to bite him or just be a great boon for Yodsman in this game.
Yeah, I guess it is conditional creation spam. That is what Yodes is specking into. In the meantime, has not been hit by all too much, but that looking to be not the case anymore. He is absolutely eating these primaries out of Scythen. It is now down to half health, but up on the other side of the pitch, this Kazan on half health is able to take the double barrier on his own. Rune nowhere to be found, but no Rune, no problem. And now Rookie Cookies continuing to ask questions of this lockdown defense, but they're able to get it clear. Great dash out of Sloth to bat the ball out of dodge. But the offense persists, and it's going to continue to persist, especially because a power play is beckoning. There goes Scythen Zentaro down within the first regulation of the point, and now we've got a 3v2. Yodes is playing a bit conservative, not really coming forward to help this offense, instead straddling the midfield line to continue to proc his strike shot, which he lets rip right there. But yeah, the power play comes to nothing.
Oh, that was a big triple banish. Nothing found quite yet, apart from a ton of energy that is presumed to be wasted there. But still, open net situation here. Kazan matchup into Asher on the open net. I mean, we already saw on the closed net that Cookies was able to find a great punish and find the double barrier. As Flip comes out, shut down though by the Zentara ultimate. Usually, Zentaras can often grief their team by ulting to help the defense, but that was a nicely done one from a midfield aware brawler there of Scythen. Geo blinks forward, hit with the banish, but still going to be just fine, and waiting for the team maybe to get the ball up to him so that he can punish Yodes with this flip.
I looked away for 5 seconds. We are still on point one. This is I fear a harbinger of things to come, especially if these goals are allowed to scale for CDR. But Geo putting the viewers out of their misery, opening the floodgates, and Scythen there to capitalize, instantaneously tapping it past the Yodes with no dodge to his name to secure the first goal after an absolute slog of a first point.
Yeah, the breakdown of that one was Yodes tried to flip to deny getting hit by that Estelle beam primary, but Geo was still able to get it through. And then Scythen absolutely frying with the dash and primary, and Geo frying as well now, blinked away from taking that banish hit as he had no evade, no other options, and then finding the double, and then it's Scythen simply with the ult to take Lockdown from 1 goal away from taking this first set in sweeping fashion.
Yeah, and they're looking poised to do so. The energy economy decidedly in their favor. 2 flips on deck, and Geo just has to tap the ball a few times to get a flip of his own. That said, the first one used to great effect, the first barrier taken off of Yodes, who is now being forced to let the live rip to save this poor Cookies Kazan. That said, it's not able to get that much heal value, and now that he's in the line of fire of that Estelle beam, he's basically right back to square one. Has been cordoned off into the corner of shame there. He's having to ult for dear life, all the while the ball is rotated away from him, which is probably a good thing, all things considered, and it's now fed up into this Rune, who has had to attack in Cookies' stead, especially now that Cookies is dead. Yode's incapable of taking that 1v1 interaction, and now that means it's an open net situation on the power play for Lockdown. They just have to land the plane, and land the plane they do. Great TP sequence by Giovanni to secure the 3rd goal on the set there, and even though the first point was very tentative, very poking and proddy, they do get there in the end.
Yeah, nicely done at the end there by Sloth to just win out against that pillar in the corner, basically, which was something I said that would be a struggle. Unfortunately, I think for Scythen here, he's going to have to take the rapid fire because, yeah, you don't want this Atlas to get it, of course. Might scale into orbit, into something that they won't be able to break through, as Asher opting for the bulk up here, maybe not wanting to let it drop to the Kazan, who will still be happy, I think, with the size, but essentially they're saying, we can just kill you still. And until that stops being a viable win con, you having all this size is just going to harm you and make it easier for us to do damage to you.
On another note, we do see Yodes continue to iterate upon this CDR win con, picking up the spark of focus. All you need is one more spark in this day and age, and that could be a very scary Atlas to deal with, which I think is going to have to be the name of the game here, especially because you cannot rely on your defenders to defend when they're dead half the time. That said, crazy primary snipe out of Yodesman to get the kill onto Scythe, meaning the momentum is now swinging in favor of the side of Blob Gap. They're putting everything they have into Sloth's face, and eventually Sloth loses out, has one too few buttons to sufficiently win the interaction, and oh my god, Cookies spawns in instantly, Oh wait, no, sorry, no, Scythen was what he spawned in. Okay, Cookies was there, but Cookies is there to bounce it off the barrier and find the bot corner in a really good sequence to get first goal of the match for Team Blobgap.
Yeah, certainly. Both pillars out here from this rune, but still a scary spot. Kazan in front of the Asher, but nicely found on an angle that caught Yodsman off guard. Finding his first barrier, second is held by some nice strikes on the defense by the whole of Blobgap there. Cookies with a flip now. They're looking, I presume, to find another double barrier here, as Banish maybe would have set up the opportunity for it, but of course in that goal arc, Sloth not debuff for too long. Trying still very rotational, ball moving all over the place, but none of these teams able to get the final barrier off these defensive goalies who are playing the hold so well, but possibly the aggression punished. Only one drops, but Flip also lost, which means that Cookies is going to have a great opportunity with his right now.
Man, the second these creation goalies step forward, they just instantly lose. But maybe Sloth learning his lesson, we're going to see even more conservative play out of him going forward. But in the meantime, decidedly unconservative play. Everyone's slinging buttons at each other there in the top plane. And Cookies is not looking long for this Earth, but manages to get some very gratuitous bounces off of the Taiko drums to play his life for the time being. Is actually up to half a stick of stagger, meaning that he probably might not die low-key in this instance. But still, so much pressure in lieu of the killing. Kazan unable to affect the play at all, meaning that the space opens up for Scythen to just tap it bot plane there, and a really good shot, a really good tit-for-tat play there from Lockdown to get their first goal on the set to make it deuces.
Yeah, absolutely. The forwards of Lock recognizing we don't need to kill you. You're out of the play. That's basically dead. And the Banish is dead there. Pre evaded with the ult there by Scythen, meaning that Zar doesn't have one of these big tools that's going to be able to get all the HP off Geo, who I haven't seen him get too low recently. He's been using this OIA very wisely, and they're somewhat playing the awakenings and the interactions through Scythen here, which means that he has the Berserker. He's benefiting more from being low. And speaking of being low, once again, it's Cookies just being punished, but a misplay there out by Scythen. Actually, maybe it was good because Yesman had the ult, and would have given Cookies full HP, but Scythen's ult stopping him from killing actually meant that he's still low HP and has no evade. So, I don't know, maybe that was a genius play out by Scythen. Maybe he just whiffed. Not sure.
Perfectly orchestrated. That, I'm going to assume best intent there. Magnificently executed play there by, okay, they finally get the kill there. It took a lot of knocking at that door, but they eventually get it open when Cookies is now once again off the map for the next 5 seconds. But Yodes is sitting pretty with that flip, meaning that the defense is very manageable, especially Gross on this pillar. Luckily, the one forward remaining on the map is the dude with the huge creations, so the double creation. Okay, Dios mio, pinball wizardry happening there. Scythen still somehow surviving and retreating to the corner, playing for dear life. Will also pick up this orb, meaning that in spite of the crazy ricochets earlier in the point, should probably be able to hold on here. Holding on is Sloth as well. Incredible find, was just perfectly positioned enough to find that way out of danger. And now Geo and Scythen in a good position to push into this Atlas, who has no dodge for the next couple of strikes, which could be to their advantage. No. But a positional collapse there from Sloth and friends, meaning that Yodes rolls in the easiest goal of his life, stands there. You can feel the aura emanating through the screen, and now we do see Blobgap up on the set.
Yeah, I mean, I spoke of Locke, playing well, not greeting for the kill, and that's what just happened, meaning that Sloth was out of position. Speaking of kills, Geo and Cookies, Geo for the first time, Cookies used to it by now, taken low, does manage to get the second orb here, but still staggered for a couple seconds more, is able to regain that normal HP, so he's going to be confident here to step up and try and take some interactions against this Asher. Of course, nothing found just yet, but that's a Banish found actually onto Geo, who is finally taken off the map here. The Menace with Omega infused, finally off the field for the offense to try and work their way through, but even with only 2 on the field, Cookies is taken low, but doesn't matter if he still manages to find the barrier. It's just his natural state to be low. He doesn't quite mind the trade.
Oh, Flip is ripped for no gain there by Scythen in the midfield, meaning that not a single member of Lockdown is capable of dodging right now, which could prove to be a little hairy, especially now that Scythen has eaten that Banish. Not to mention that was kind of just the rune show there out of Zarheinif there, able to do a couple really good things, takes Intara out of the play, and also completely steals Sloth's ankles with the TP. So great play. Not rewarded with MVP, though, will be third in the queue, but still a lot of good stuff here for both Kazan, Rune, and frankly Asher.
Yeah, I mean, Cookie's having the MVP here is really impressive considering what was done to him in that set by the enemy team. Now, weird draft here. I think, it's rather unfortunate that no one can deny this missile prop. Maybe they still want to do it, but oh, he actually just wants the double spark. I guess makes sense because Geo has that spark of strength. You don't want him to scale. But took a while for both Scythe and Sloth to actually end up choosing their awakenings. Now, I think that the side of Blobgap have kind of pretty handily won this one. I think Fire Up is a decent awakening, but Scythen maybe being forced to use his evade a bit too much to get full value, and the missile prop, I'd say not doing too much for Sloth here. So these awakenings on the enemy team, which are actually rather scary, I think mean that Blobgap won the set and also the draft here.
Does seem like there was a lot of settling there for the side of Lockdown, so I would concur. In any case, yeah, there's a lot going on there in the J corner this time of year. All 4 or 5 people all gathered there trying to ping pong it through one another. Ultimately, the defense is one Yodes able to hold. Now, good triangle pass found from Lockdown to get their way out of trouble, to rotate away from the danger, and how the pillar spam is going to be enough to make sure that second barrier holds for the time being. So we're now still at one goalie apiece, for one barrier apiece for both goalies, but that situation has immediately collapsed. Sloth just about getting the redirect, but he did get screwed by the angle where it just ricochets off the top of that little plane there, and it means it gets fed right back into the middle, and Cookie's winning the interaction into Geo means that the first point goes the way of Blobgap.
Now, Cookies and Geo both no evade here, but I think a bit scarier for Geo playing with the OIA and, like I mentioned early on, into the Banish that can do a lot of burst damage to him and, of course, can be confirmed on by Kazan. But maybe they don't need the Banish onto Geo. They actually spend it onto Scythen, whose flip is forced out by it. But still, both of them are alive for now. Geo possibly not long for this world. As another flip does come out to no avail out from Sloth here, and Geo still positioning aggressively to help the offense, which means that Scythen is able to find both these barriers quite swiftly, and Cookies is still trying to find the kill confirm. He had, mere moments to get that before Geo was able to regenerate enough, but was able to find it. Still though, what matters most is them being able to find the final barrier, which they haven't been able to do until Geo respawns.
Really good sequence of holds there in lieu of Geo there. Great hold from Yodsman, though, getting the flip and also getting the barrier for his troubles, just about managing to snake it around Sloth. So hella value for that flip as far as I'm concerned. And continues to create the situation where there's a bunch of difficult situations that Lockdown was put in there in quick sequence, and they were unable to deal with all of them, meaning that Blobgap is looking to surge forward with this set. They're 2-0 on the set and just need to execute a couple more times in order to go 2-1 up in the set count. So looks like it's their set to lose.
Yeah, great punish there by Yodes, recognizing that Sloth was walking up on the top side, expecting Geo to have everything covered, but Geo was not fully covering the bottom, was opting to hang in the middle a bit more, and just finding that second goal. Scythen, though, kind of forced to use this flip, and of course, having played with Fire Up, sometimes when you don't have the best angle for it, you kind of just say, well, I have Fire Up, so something good will happen after I flip this. And maybe the speed is exactly what you need, even if the flip alone isn't enough to convert on whatever goal you were aiming for at the time. As right now, Banish Big comes out here, finding that second barrier, and there's so many strikes coming out by Cookies there, just too much for Sloth, who I presume didn't have the primary to handle, meaning that once again, Blobgap winning this set and taking this one to one set away from them winning the first game.
A lot of good stuff on the board here. Would not be surprised if the Kazan opts for something along the lines of 1-2 here, but is being pretty deliberate about delaying here, maybe trying to let something go through for his teammates. Does pick up the Catalyst, though. Pretty understandable. Energy tends to be quite strong. Sloth, not Sloth, sorry, I'm conditioned to just assume Atlas is Sloth. Yodsman getting the peak performance as well, which is going to be huge in terms of pushing offenses and also just not dying. Granted, Atlas already has 15 quintillion staggers, so I think it's definitely a mobility pickup.
Yeah, certainly. I want to know. I think very wise to deny this catalyst because then, a character that has a lot of hits so can make good use of the new catalyst, but also already has the fire up. So yeah, would have been a rough spot to deal with this energy win condition. But as of right now, they seemingly are finding the win condition of doing a ton of damage out to Geo before even the major cooldowns like the banishes have come out. He is regenning now though, and we're seeing the ball rotated down to the bottom side where Sloth is hanging, trying to find a nice primary there, and the ball does manage to go through, but unfortunate primary where Scythen trying to zone Yodes meant that the ball actually went back and resulted in their barrier dropping. Still though, if he's able to find two on this offense, it might not matter. Flip comes out as well. So many creations though, and he is eventually shut down.
Well, dicey situation here in the blob gap goal. Sloth having enough abilities up in his pocket to deal with the slight mispositional situation, able to hold onto his flip. It's going to be huge, especially because you've got a Kazan with flip up in your face. Want to hold on to that for as long as possible. On the other side of that coin, Geo is now looking to threaten with flip. Is so fast, is able to perhaps sneak into a good position to let it rip, but in the interim, no dice. And great patience by Sloth, knowing that the outclear was probably going to be snubbed out by Pillar there. And this Centauro, Loki might be a little dead, but no, the Pillar placement is a little wayward out of Zarhynif, meaning that it is still a 3v3 in anyone's point, but the core speed is starting to get a little nutty, and Sloth missing the angle is not going to make anything better. But a couple misses from both goalies. Age check on both fronts. Miss of the corner and miss of the strike shot means that ultimately lockdown come up trumps in that point.
Yeah, Scythen with a beautiful fake whiffing his Zen dash, meaning Yodes maybe didn't have as much time to prepare for that strike shot. And that's the first goal that I think Lockdown have scored in like 6 successive goals, or at least 5 by Blob Gap here. But still, unfortunate flip. I mean, they do get the first barrier, and as they say, if you flip and then the barrier drops, you flip for barrier, so I guess it's fine, but ultimately what matters more is finding the second one. Scythen able to get that orb, and Geo as well with the orb dancer, able to get that move speed from it, and now, scary spot, Scythen just popping this flip, maybe just recognizing, like I said, hey, we have fire up, my goalie now is walking up, but he's actually taken off the map, and Geo has whiffed that strike into his own barrier there. Still though, without many cooldowns, dealing with the Astro Sloth is not going to be very easy to break this final barrier still.
Oh, for sure. It's just going to get worse. Now that your Kazan is dead as hell, but the live circle coming out from Yodes, and ultimately the Kazan was completely unnecessary, was window dressing for that play, because it's Zarhynif finding the strike, catching everyone off guard, and flipping right to bot lane to even things up here in this set. Really good play out of Blob Gap. It looked like maybe their advantage was going to slip away from them in that point, but they managed to land the plane to capitalize on the fleeting positional breakdown that was still remained on the part of Lockdown, and there we go, another really good take, and another good take of that bottom barrier past Sloth, who has to burn flip just to hold on to the second one, and now it's looking like Blob Gap is in a much better place.
I just want to note, throughout this set, Scythen's been about half HP, so he had 168 power at one point, and he had like 38 cooldown reduction. So yeah, making use of that, but that power and those cooldowns not actually mattering in terms of kills, because it is Geo the one taken off the field. Unfortunately, Sloth expecting the ball to go to the bottom side meant that the barrier did drop, and Yosman locked in with the res. I mean, in some senses, Taiko Temple an easier map to kill on, but playing into Atlas, who has the ult, it's basically as telegraphed as like a rune banish kill. The Atlas has ages to be able to find the res, but no ult available for Yodsman or Zar in that one, and Flip also forced out, countered out by the ult, and the strike also countered out by that passive there. So Scythen shutting everything down that Yods was looking for.
Scythen simply playing better and winning more. That was a pure 1v1 interaction between goalie and forward. Forward coming up as the victor in that particular instance. And now Lockdown have swung momentum back in their favor for the time being. Granted, this take's going to be a little tricky because Scythen has just got to sit on top of orb in midfield, waiting for it to respawn before he can begin to be any sort of effectual forward again. But great banish out of Zarheinif means the doors are open, and they find the flip goal through the two members of Lockdown with no flip. Perhaps the wise move. That said, Geo is still probably capable of making a couple things happen here with his own flip, but he needs to make things happen if Lockdown want to stay alive in this particular game, because it is now match point in favor of Blobgap.
Yeah, as you said, everything on the line for Lockdown here. Of course, they're building up to energy, but Geo using it, not wanting to risk it all and end up failing in the pursuit of a greater flip. So I think wisely recognized, and he is, having his life as a result of that decision still available to him. But still, no evade into this banish is a rather rough spot. He's just taken off the map alongside their barrier. And unless Scythen is able to work some magic here, which Yodes is able to beat out, he doesn't believe in magic. And the ball just manages to work its way through, but still, it is shut down completely. And Barry actually found on the top side, and Barry on the bottom side also found. Zara with a pillar attempt here, and Cookies has a flip. Primary's already out, Hook comes out, but Geo was prepared for it. And he's banished again, and he's actually killed. But Scythen now has flipped. Scary spot here if he's able to get the ball, but it just flies past off the flip of Zara once again, getting it in the net. And Blobgap, after a disastrous first set, just got it done. Too much for Lock to handle.
I think there's a universe where if Scythen reacted in time and got the flip off, he could have hit it bot plane and scored. Because if you look at where Atlas was standing at the end of that point, he was like hella top plane. So unless he had strike shot, man. Oh, a game of fine margins. But this game of fine margins ultimately goes the way of Blobgap, putting them up 1-0 on the series. A very hard fought 22-minute 3-1 in their favor. Sloth did everything in his power to hold, but the offense just stalled a little bit, mainly just because you've got an Estelle that's giga dead, but comes with the territory on this OIA pickup into a pretty damage-heavy comp. But yeah, not necessarily a bad sign for either team heading into this next game. It's really just going to come down to map awakenings and execution, as it so often tends to do.
Yeah, I mean, it's worth noting for sure that this was Blobgap's map pick. And we're going to be moving on to Atten City in the next one, which Locke opted for. That's, they're pretty opposites in terms of maps. The closed creation, force it through the mid lane, is not something that you're looking for on Atten. Of course, you can still shove it into that corner, but certainly a team like Lockdown, who are known for their core control, more than Blobgap, I would say, are gonna favor that map more than Taiko Temple. Now, that's not to say that that Blobgap can't do core control as well. I mean, as we saw, this creation spam comp is not really something that they would typically pick on this map. They usually lean towards damage, so they're showing that they can be flexible and adapt to the situation. And I don't think, with it being Lockdown's map pick, it means that Blobgap are out of this Atten game whatsoever.
For sure, especially if they can do what happened last week on Atten City, where I believe it was Voss versus Lockdown. I think it. Oh wait, no, that was in the EUSC. That was in EUSC. Sorry, I'm getting my competitions mixed up. But Voss forced Lockdown onto Atten and then forced Slav onto the Atlas, and it was basically just a 2v3 in most instances because the Atlas was completely incapable of doing anything. So I think there definitely is a lot of comp machinations that can happen from both teams, especially if you can force someone onto just an utterly abysmal goalie that can't do anything. So yeah, we'll see how it shakes up. That said, Lockdown, wait, are they blue side heading into this next game? Because that'll definitely change things or color this matchup.
Yeah, so it was Blobgap's decision, and they opted for the red side here. So that means, once again, I mean, of course, they did just beat Geo's Estelle, but the Estelle and Atten, a very threatening pick. The Kai as well, of course, could come out. But they just said, we don't care if you get one of those, because either we'll get another one or we'll just get two strong picks that we want otherwise. Now, as you mentioned, Sloth in USC played the Atlas, and it was a struggle for them. We did see him win against Wildcards earlier on in EUSL on Aten playing the Atlas. So I wonder if after that experience, it's off the cards for them, or they still think, that was just one game. Circumstances change, because I think Aten is a map where a wide variety of goalies can be played, but it's not as easy as other maps to just say lock me this, lock me that. You need to be more locked in as a goalie and knowing what you want to pick. And as I mentioned, the kind of Estelle, we have a chrono boost hotshot starter. I mean, right.
This is wow. I mean, there's just no losing. There are several good characters that will just get through across all these awakenings. The Kai ban coming out of lockdown. It's understandable. It's probably to shut down Yods. Known Kai player, especially with the chrono boost, is probably just able to third forward for more than he isn't if he were to pick up that Kai. So very understandable ban. We'll see what Blobgap respond with. Taking their sweet time. Really thinking about this one. It was a lot more decisive out of lockdown, but they ultimately opt to take down that Scythen Zentaro, which I think is somewhat reasonable given the chrono boost start.
Yeah, I think they want Lockdown to play Estelle here, and then I think they want to pick Octavia into it, is my guess here. Now, if I'm not sure if Lockdown are going to get baited by that. They probably know that that's what's on the cards and are taking their time to decide. And yeah, they
There it
actually
is.
decide to pick the Octavia. So it does make sense. I mean, Geo, I'd say not too many midfielders pick the Octavia too frequently, but Zara and Geo both have picked it more than most. Now, as I mentioned, the Estelle still on the cards here with the hot shot, of course, nothing to be scoffed at. And they do, as well as that, have another pick that could make use of this this hot shot here. I mean, I wouldn't be too surprised if Cookies was locking the rune in here. It's actually the Juno. I think it's for Cookies, but it could be for Yodes. But I'm hoping we see the Bruno coming out here.
We'll see. Yeah, it's two. I cannot make a definitive statement about who that Juno is going to go to. My premonition is Yodes, but it could legit be anyone. It's all 10 City. This is you can just triple midfielder comp map. You can put anyone anywhere, frankly. We are seeing Sloth commit to the bit and lock the Atlas here, presumably with Strike Shot. I think the Hot Shot will make it a little less of a done deal insofar as you're able to get hella CDR. And we are seeing Scythen, at least I'm 99% sure that's Scythen dropping to his Rasmus, which he used to great effect in week 1 of EUSL actually on Auten City. Did some nutty stuff with that Rasmus, so we'll see if Lightning will strike twice to that effect. Then we are seeing the Rune rounding out the Blob Gap picks here. Pretty standard stuff.
Yeah, I mean, as I said I think Cookies might pick the Rune, and then when they picked Juno, I was like, oh, maybe it's on Cookies, but I'm pretty sure now it is, as you said, Yodes on the Juno, Zara on the Estelle, and Cookies on the Rune here, and that's not a particularly nice comp if you're Atlas to defend into. I think a lot of range and ability to move the ball around. I also think, possibly they opted for this Rune for that interaction of being able to banish the Octavia out of her speed. Something nice to be able to do. But alongside of that, they do have Juno and Estelle who can hit her from long range, who can dash to places, faster than she's able to reach. So they have tools. It's not, they're playing into Chrono Boost Octavia, but I think their comp is rather decently suited to dealing with the comp of Lockdown here. But of course, the more conventional Rasmus Brawler that is just throughout history being a very strong pick on this map, especially in the hands of someone like Scythen, could just be decisive, and especially if he's winning these interactions frequently against Yodes.
Here we go. We'll see imminently. It is Yodes on the Juno. Oh, we're seeing a tale of two awakenings here. Double chrono boost on the side of Lockdown versus triple hot shot on the side of Blob Gap. So there's going to be so much core speed. So much speed in general, particularly out of the two haste midfielders that we're seeing from the Lockdown comp. So we'll see who ultimately comes up trumps here. The initial corner interaction is batted away. And now that crazy fast Octavia just be able to be in so many places at so many times and just about refreshes the speed boost, which means things could get a little dicey if they're able to continually funnel the ball into Giovanni. But now the secondary is out for the time being. Sloth also being caught out there, missing the strike shot, but keeping his barrier not so much anymore. And now it's open barriers for both goalies, so frankly, the ball's due to go in any time now. And there we go. Good tap in by Giovanni right past Yotzman.
Yeah, Gio just kind of in Yodes' brain there, knowing he would strike to the edge twice and then try and find an angle for Cookies, but he just had more movement speed than Cookies did, so was able to get the ball first. And they did break the barrier first as well, even without making use of the Octavia speed. Now they do have it now, but looks like once again, I mean that's 3 times that Gio has just barely gotten it, but he actually sat on 3 Judo Slimes. A great res out by Sloth, though, means that he will keep his life and his flip, and barrier is taken once again by Siphon on the offensive.
Oh, this poor Giovanni Octavia is beginning to get bullied out of the game. That said, the healing is up. The orbs means that it's just so much harder to secure these attrition kills, but no kills, no problem. Swing and a miss from 2 lockdown defenders there. Yode's splitting the difference with the slime. That's really funny. But I guess on the bright side, at least you keep your flips heading into this next point.
Yeah, and the same can't be said of Zar, who, while Cookies and Yodes were trying to work on the offense, attempted a secondary flip cheese kill. Wow, what a great hold, though, by the defense of Lobgap. Able to keep Geo low and get Sloth's flip while holding their barrier, and also getting the barrier on the other side. I mean, the defense there, I think probably will have won them that point, unless Geo is able to just zoom past the strikes of Lobgap on the defense. And Scythen now, if the ball gets into his hands, has the flip, has the perfect shot, barely around the slime of Yodsman. And despite a great hold early on in that point, Lockdown shut that down and scored this second goal for them here.
Both Yodsman and Scythen doing the right thing there. It's just the slime, it's just a little too slow. Inches, pixels even. But yeah, it does mean Lockdown is advantaged in the set. Couple of interesting physics interactions, but one circle ultimately winning out against the other yellow circle, meaning that Sloth has now lost his barrier, and the slimes coming out from Yodsman mean that this is going to be a tricky defense, especially when Sloth gets pierced right through the heart by that Zarhynef primary, opts not to evade, and loses the goal as a consequence.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I was quite surprised that the SL ultimate there hit, because Scythen looked like he was body blocking it, but it just barely slipped by. Not too consistent to be able to shut it down, as Gio outweights his own flip, but a bit of panic on the back line of Lockdown. Too many chefs in the kitchen there, all of them expecting the others to find the strikes, as Gio is just maintaining his speed here, and Cookies has lost the flip. Gio is still zooming, of course, doesn't have the infinitely scaling speed anymore, but just, when he crosses the midline, has about 750 right now, so more than he needs for certain, and just striking the ball wherever they place it. Scythen not even getting credit for that goal, as Gio gets the strike primary and takes his team into the first set victory here.
And that's what you want, Octi in the pole position. There's a couple options here, most notably Peak, perhaps even Spark of Agility, but it might also just be a blocking type deal here because there's nothing that's like too good. And yes, that's exactly what happens, taking the rapid fire away from Yodes and Yodes, not Geo, sorry, this are Zarhynef, meaning that they have to settle for team player and heavy impact respectively. And now Sloth getting the M prop, which is probably going to be a huge pickup because now it means he's a little less of a decoration as far as offense is concerned. Is going to be able to cover out clears a little more effectively.
Yeah, and I think, one, I'd say Scythen got his favorite awakening. A couple brawlers have their patented awakening. For Ivy, it's the Orbs, and for Scythen, it's certainly the peak performance here. But I think, the rapid fire, of course, was a deny from the Juno and the Estelle, but it's not nothing on her. I mean, the primary is a big tool that she is looking to use to maintain her flow state. So if she has it 25% more, she's going to be able to maintain it much easier. Now, that doesn't matter too much if the offense just overwhelms Scully of Sloth, who, after the strike shot and the primary are gone, they just have... he just has no capability to cover any range here that the Rune and the Estelle just love playing around.
Crazy melee in the corner, but all three members of Lockdown back to help put out that fire, and then now surging forward on the counterattack, trying to make things happen. Sloth blowing the primary, continuing to get this ball through with this Octavia, who is so fast, and is able to get on the end of that primary and once again surge forward into the box. Scythen there to guarantee the issue, tapping it in with the primary. Looks like Lockdown are beginning to hit a stride. It's really just a matter of if this Octavia can go real fast or not.
Yeah, yours is very much checkmated there. Play into the corner, into the Octavius ultimate, or play into the Rasmus primary there. As Sloth had a nice strike shot early into this round, and also a nice secondary, but just the pillar catches him off guard. The mental stacks of playing into Rune Estelle, something that is worth noting, I think, as a goalie. There's only so many times you can say, be careful of pillar and evade beam until it overwhelms you. So, although, on the other hand, the great offense coming out as a result of the hook of Scythen that just shoved Yodes out of position, a horrifying feeling for as a goalie to deal with. As Cookie's trying to cook something on the offense here. Sloth is equal to it though. Ball ends up on the other side, but he has no cooldowns left anymore. Luckily for him, Ball is transitioning onto the offense of his team, but still, once the ball gets to his half, I think he still doesn't have that secondary available. It's a very scary situation for Sloth here, I think.
And the issue is beginning to be forced. That said, Sloth able to find the bounce through Geo, and Geo winning a key interaction up at the top of the arc to transition back to offense. But now it is Core Speed Central, Core Speed City. Luckily, Sloth having the secondary back in time to be able to deal with the nutty clear. Not to mention, there's a bit of chaos going down in the bottom corner with that rune pillar. But the chaos is shifted right back onto Yodes and friends, who are now having to defend for their lives. Not a dodge between the three of them, meaning that it just takes a couple good hit stuns to secure the deal, and Scythen unlocking a sixth sense there, knowing exactly where that ball was going to go and tapping it in with the primary to put Lockdown on set point here.
All of Lockdown played that point so well. Sloth holding it down onto that flip, and Geo so threatening up the top side meant that Scythen was able to punish the bottom side clear from Yodes. Geo, recognizing he's low, running up and flipping, was almost punished there, resulting in a barrier on his half, but luckily the angle was not so tight. Unfortunately though, Sloth with a misplay here, caught off guard by the Estelle second ultimate. And speaking of caught off guard, Geo surprised by that kill as well from the primary here, meaning that the offense is just working up. Secondary is out from this Atlas here, but the primary is overwhelming him and slots it into the top side. And despite Lockdown looking so well, at the end of the day, it's 2-2 in the second set here.
Yeah, good primary out of Zarhynif to seal the deal there. Now we're once again at deuces in this final point of the second set. Once again, Octavia, I believe, if Lockdown is to win the set, which is not looking particularly likely, especially when you lose to Slime like that. I was going to say Octavia would be the first pick, but now probably just going to have to settle for second place. Yode's hero moding that, throwing the Slime forward, ending up in the arc to secure the deal, and getting Zarhynif the first pick over this Octavia, who's actually back of the bus. Okay, I just looked at the levels and saw they were the highest, but what do I know?
Yeah, I mean, I wonder if the recent Juno patch had anything to do with that Slime being a bit quicker than the Atlas primary there. Pure speculation, of course, but as it is right now, the deny coming out of the second orb of Rookie Cookie, who is going to opt for the Among Titans here. Now, the speed is very nice, but, you know, Juno and Estelle, not traditionally characters that are going to benefit from getting the size. Possibly a deny away from this Octavia, who I'm sure would have taken it, and is now, you know, residing and forced to take this adrenaline rush, which I guess, you know, the lower cooldown on primary along with rapid fire is nice, but that's about it, I think. And in terms of draft here, I think the side of Blobgap have rather convincingly won this one.
Ooh, man. Geo is continually knocking on that door, is unable to break it down this time, though. Yode's holding strong with a couple of well-timed strikes, not to mention the help from Zarhynif is always appreciated. Slav helpless, though, and loses his barrier, almost gets caught out by the primary class clear read, and Yodes is actually the one that gets caught out here in this situation. The TP was a little wayward, opening the door for that ricochet off the bot plane into the net by Sloth. So good goal from the Lockdown goalie.
Yeah, and I think, this is the deciding point in terms of sets. Of course, it's 1-1, so it's very crucial. But we're at the stage now where if you lose the set, there's a 1 in 2 chance that the enemy team are going to get Orb Dancer here. And that might just be game losing, especially maybe this Octavia picking it up would be hellish to deal with for the defense. Now, speaking of defense, Yodes and Zar locking in on the back line here, and of course they have help in this comp with Cookies, who's comfortable just coming back, helping out, and has a lot of move speed and of course a teleport ability to be able to just catch the ball if they need to transition quickly on offense. Still though, Scythen trying to work his way up, but not enough, I'd say, size yet to be able to score as easily as he will be able to once he's able to pick one of those up, as Yodes is just locking him down a bit right now.
Oh, somehow Slav. Okay, Caster Chris, I was about to say somehow Slav locking it down even more, but he just loses his barrier for fun. Unfortunately, means we are open net situation for both goalies, and this could be exacerbated by the fact that Yodes no longer has flip. His teammate does, though, meaning that if he can get it into an opportune position, it could be money looking to do so right now. But no flip needed. It's actually the beam from Zarheinif that just about connects and knocks that bottom corner. Nothing Geo can do about that. Once again, 1-1 here in set 3.
Yeah, I think Gio probably had to play that one into Sloth, but probably had to make a quick adjustment, recognizing, oh, there's going to be a pillar in this corner. I need to strike somewhere else. Now, great hold there coming out from the Atlas secondary here, and Scythen quick to punish, but still, Banish comes out onto his midfielder and hit stuns onto him, means that he's not able to convert the barrier just quick enough. And I think we've seen kind of a change of pace recently where Geo isn't really maintaining the flow state all too well right now. Might not matter if they're able to just break the barrier and score with Scythen's flip here, but does whiff his. Geo forced to use his as well and is able to score, but still no energy on their side anymore, and Zar, miles ahead of anyone in terms of building his way up to a flip.
It's just going to take a couple more strikes there. It is dangerous difference maker here on the map, especially now that Sloth has once again lost his goal relatively early, but the flip is not needed. The strike once again splits the difference between Sloth and Geo there. From Yodes, I guess that was a slime that, or did he TP in and strike it? I'm not sure. But in any case, does get the goal, meaning it's 2-2, anyone's game still.
Yeah, certainly is. I think, okay, I think Scythen honestly was intending to stop Zar's glass cannon, which is something I was going to comment on, the fact that he basically has more speed than Octavia because he perma has it, but Scythen doing it all, 2 primaries, barrier and goal, and that's a big one. I think that it's actually Sloth with the MVP, which I think is not exactly what you want with, okay, Orb Dancer doesn't show up, so it will be in the final draft if that comes up. Now, possibly the fire up could be a big semi-alternative for the Orb Dancer here. I think it's a really nice awakening, especially on such an open map. But nobody opting for it just yet. But their picks, I'd say, not too surprising right now.
And I think crucially, even if there were to be another set, like definitionally Octavia would not be able to take the Orb Dancer, given that that set would have to be won by Blob Gap. So all around, not the end of the world for Blob Gap here, but they still definitely need to do the work that is cut out for them and take this win, take this set rather. Otherwise, they will be taken to a game 3. Geo, in a very precarious situation there, is almost able to get barrier off of the primary strike reset, but can't quite find it. No dice there. Good strike shot by Sloth to keep the pressure up onto this Juno goalie. He was able to hold immaculately. Oh my god, and is also asking questions of Sloth up in top lane by rotating the ball off of the dash. And crazy, once again, 3-man hold there from Blob Gap to keep this barrier up, and a great strike war win up against the Erasmus secondary from Zarheinif means that the defense is just continuing to hold. This is incredible stuff out of Blob Gap, but they might just lose it here. Nope. Okay, what do I know?
Yeah, I mean, the cost of all that defense with Zar is quite low. Now, he does have a flip, opts to use it here, but shut down by the defense of Lockdown there. Rookie Cookie, though, making use of the fire-up speed to run around faster than the Octavia could ever dream of doing. Still, though, barrier found, flip found by Scythen, but shut down by Yodes once again on the defense, doing so well now. No energy on the side of lockdown here, and this forward of Rookie Cookie does have one, so does have a flip available to him soon enough. So gonna be rough for Sloth on the defense, despite him having one. I think the flip on offense in the open net Scaria, the secondary almost knocks it into their net, but recovered, and a great angle is still shut down by Sloth. Both goalies holding it down so well right now.
Man, and all that just for that to be the way the ball goes in the net. But that sequence off of the wayward teleport from Zarhaidov to knock it back, it's Soren angles like twice, and then somehow they get it out the back. That was an insane, if accidental defense from the side of Blobgap. They are not ultimately rewarded with the point, though. It is Lockdown that comes up. Hello, Slav? Anyone home? Did his mouse die? Like, what is... Okay, interesting. Like, that is...
Looks like there's going to be some sportsmanship coming out here. Within the rules. Oh, he's back. Within the rules, I mean, Blobgap could have just played it out and scored, but they're saying we're not insecure. We'll get it done ourselves. As Geo able to shut down that attempt, unfortunately though, isn't able to find the res as he's not killed by that banish, so is a bit low, was maybe forced to use that flip prematurely, meaning that nothing is found of it, and abilities flying left and right here. Sloth flip is forced out, goes through the middle, nice vision to tell that what the Swoon was planning on doing, but still, the team player just means that after they get it out of the offense, it's just in the hands of Juno that has strikes to red core or abilities to red core as launching it at her teammates.
And there we go. In spite of the brief lull in proceedings, it is Blobgap who do win regardless, capitalizing on the momentum they established earlier on the point before Sloth decided to do whatever ended up happening there. But in any case, the barrier is holding interesting angle to just about bounce off the diagonal such that the barrier is not taken. So Sloth is sitting pretty, but this missed strike shot is actually not too big of a deal because someone else manages to get it out of dodge. The flip being forced out of Yodes, perhaps a bit prematurely. This Juno is going to have a rough time defending with no creations. That said, the core speed rather, is not quite enough to get it around Yodes, but this is a very scary situation. Zarhainov does have flip, but if he blows it prematurely, it could be curtains, because now neither of the two principal defenders of Blobgap have any dodge to their name. Rookie Cookie, great patience to wait out the Atlas hold and find the barrier on the second time of asking, and now Yodes just has to get it around this super fast Octavia, which he does quite successfully, but I think the flow state will be refreshed. Yep, the primary doing the trick, meaning that if Sloth's able to get it out the back here, this Octavia could be poised to do something nutty. Granted, they're almost died there, absolutely ate something or other, and now have to play for their life, all the while Sloth is just trying to pick up the pieces, is not able to do so. If Estelle has primary on deck, there's not too much you can do as Sloth. Yodes buying Lockdown some time, though, by hitting it right back into Sloth's primary, but now has dash, but he uses it on the defense, meaning he can't dash forward and flip, so this goal is going to be even trickier to take than we would have foreseen. Both teams playing pretty conservatively, but a great ban out of Rookie Cookie means that the barrier, or the goal, is taken up against Sloth. Nothing you can do when you're banned like that.
Yeah, I mean, just trusting his team completely to get the ball up at that moment, meaning that Sloth is punished for not evading, was quite close range, but that's a great primary out by Geo, just does it all himself to get the barrier. Now it's Scythen's turn, working on the bottom side here, forces the flip out of Zar, but maybe not too uncomfortable with taking that one, as he does find the first goal, although Cookies did use his as well, which means that there's no flips on the offense here, other than maybe Yodes if he is able to walk up and use his. But still, scary spot when Scythen and Geo both have worked their way up to one. If they're able to use both effectively, as they do here, 1-for-1, and just able to retain their second flip on Geo for possibly the barrier or the goal here, I think Lockdown not too shabby going into this point.
Yeah, and I would hope they aren't, because they need to be locked in to take this final point to keep themselves alive in this series. It's looking promising, Geo, with the flow state and the core flip, meaning that he'll be able to be in a lot of places simultaneously and push these offenses, but has lost the flow state. But no flow state, no problem. The primary out of Slav is actually enough to get the goal. Yodes wayward on the dash, meaning the ball is going to be kept in his arc in the interim, which is so scary. Slav just doing his best to hold, to allow his teammates opportunities to push these offenses, is to get in Yodes' face, to do something against this Juno goalie, to get it past him. But Zarhainev is doing everything in his power to make sure that does not happen, that the ball does not get to the net inside of the arc. And doing pretty well. Yodes now up in the vicinity, trying to threaten, does take the barrier, which is exactly what you want to see as a member of Blob Gap. Both teams duking it out, but Geo has the flow state, is now forced 1v1 with Yodes, but is banned, could die here, but Scythen is there to put out the fire, to stand on top of any pillars which may be created, meaning this Octi is still in the game and still has flip, which is oh so scary. Has to rip the flip in midfield though, and the chaos there in the bot lane is not capitalized on. This point is still going, and it's actually Blob Gap against the run of play that takes this second set, forcing us to a set 5 here in game 2.
Yeah, I don't know if maybe the input delay was a fraction too long, but I think Scything probably could have clicked secondary and just put the ball in the net, so might be kicking himself there. And of course, all down to the reward for Zar in the midfield here. He has so much speed already, and they also deny away this fight or flight from either of the enemy teammates. Now, of course, Razan's not too disappointed with having the size, possibly Octavia as well, but I think, you know, the enemy team's draft is just a bit nicer, especially, I didn't mention this Omega Infused. Cookie's not been taken very low, the enemy comp not doing too much damage for him, and he's got so much move speed as well. It just might be too much, but still though, it's Geo proving to be too much for the enemy's defense, already up to a flip. I mean, has so much more energy than anyone else on the field right now, and probably going to opt to use it on the offense right now.
Oh wow, Sloth getting the kill off of the primary. I need to press tab. Did you pick? Oh, he picked up Siege Machine at some point, a couple drafts ago. Okay, I was. Oh, and Mprop. Okay, and Strike Shot. No wonder his primary literally killed from across the earth. But it still might not be enough, because Yodes is back on the map, and the secondary has been bled out of Sloth, meaning that this defense is going to be a little tricky, but he does find the outclear, wins a really important strike war up against Zarhainev, and now Scythen doing everything he can to keep possession of the core, hits a couple nutty strike resets in the midfield to that effect, but is now without dodge and without a lot of kit to his name, meaning this offense is going to be difficult to press if you're a member of Lockdown, but Geo just doing everything to shove it through, and it just takes one buttons out of Scythen from that distance to confirm it, to seal the deal, and Yode's helpless to do anything about it. So first set, our first point of this final set goes the favor of Lockdown.
Yeah, I mean, we've been talking about builds, but, you know, silently, sneakily, Scythen's built himself up to a devious one, where he has speed and size. I mean, what more does Erasmus want? And his backline have double flips right now. Of course, the offense on the other side for Blob Gap have both flips as well, and even more impactfully, they have this fire up here. Flip is forced out as unfortunate, kind of a Sophia moment there, but still, it's a rough situation for Blob Gap, I'd say, because unless this magical angle, I think Cookies wasn't even aiming for that. It just rebounded off the Octavia ult, I think.
I think that's precisely what happened. There's no way you get that angle organically. Catches everyone on Team Lockdown with their pants pulled down. Nothing they can do, unfortunately, about God himself intervening to give them that crazy angle. And now it's 1-1, one apiece. Both goalies are being threatened, but right now Yodes seems to be eating a bit more cooldowns in his face. Rookie Cookies is actually the one that's low-key about to die, but Sloth once again, MVP? Everyone vote Sloth Primary as MVP for this series if Lockdown ends up winning, because that's 2 goals in the last 3 that have been scored by that thing, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and a kill. Don't forget that. Showing the enemy goalie what's up after, you know, in one of those previous points being gapped a little bit by Yodesman. Saying, I'm in this fight too. And Yodesman, speaking of, his flip is forced, so is Zara's. Flip comes out from Scythen, a great angle. Geo maintaining this flow state right now. Still, another Atlas primary launches the ball forward, but the defense ready for it then. Not ready, are they though, for that secondary coming out from Scythen here. And that's the game win coming out, taking us to 1-1 by Lockdown on their map choice.
Dios mio, what a set coming out of the side of Lockdown does mean we are going to a Game 3. Octavia proved to be sort of a difference maker, but to say nothing about Slough, got an absolutely nasty build. And then to take nothing away from Scythe, wow, it's almost as if the winning team was just a really good team. But yeah, all three players putting in shifts there, and Yodes and Zerheinef, in spite of their crazy holds, I mean, look at those save statistics between the two of them. That's an 130 plus save game on Autent City. 25-minute Autent City game, by the way, chills. But yeah, so absolute war. And I'm hopefully not a harbinger of the next game to come, because some Europeans low-key got to go to sleep, but no, okay. I mean, yeah, we are going to Game 3 on the series.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like we got a bit of tilt about the Octavia. Won't speak too much about that. I think, interestingly, usually as a team, if you play with an Octavia, the redirects tend to be a bit more skewed than they actually are here. Even despite having the Octavia, it's actually Scythe and Sloth who have more redirects than him, which is kind of crazy to think about. Possibly, as a result of Blobgap trying their best to play the ball through the side that Octavia isn't on. But still, if you're playing it away from Geo, you're playing it into Scythe, who was on the Rasmus with, I think, Chrono, Explo, Peak, and then 2 sizes, something like that. So yeah, too much speed and size to handle. Eventually, he just scaled out of control there. We will be moving on though to the final map here, where I believe it is Lockdown blue side, Blobgap red side, and the map will be Inky Splash Zone.
This is not something we see all too often here in EUSL. I literally cannot tell you the last time we've had an Inkies game, or at least a streamed Inkies game. Wait, every EUSL game is streamed. Okay, so my point proven. I genuinely do not know the last time a series has gone to Inkies, but Lockdown, I know they are confident in their ability to execute on this map. Hence why I think they've locked it in, if I'm not mistaken. It is their map pick, correct?
Yeah, it is. It is Blobgap who banned Clarion and opted for the Inkies here. Now, the last time that I remember seeing this team on Inkies was when in promotion they were kind of upset 2-1 by wildcards, and the final map that they lost on was Inkies. Now, playing into Lockdown, another team that they've studied up, they know the game plan, and they can play for the core well. On a map like Inky's, rather scary after a defeat on a somewhat similar map of Aten.
For sure, it's basically just Aten, but now the really big barriers in the corner instead of the middle. And I would assume there are a lot of Vaughn how to win on Inky Splash Zone every time tutorial watchers here in the lobby, so we'll see which team is able to put those notes into practice a little more effectively. Awakenings have not been changed. Oh, there they are. Okay, they just haven't been updated in lobby. We are seeing the Dancer and the Explosive entrance. I mean, I feel like, yeah, there's the Kai insta-ban. I was about to say, if you're not playing the Kai goes. And there he goes. Yeah, especially with this Explosive. That would have been miserable to deal with.
Yeah, I mean, once again, we're seeing Locke have the first pick here. So possibly if the Estelle goes unbanned, it will be picked. There's also, I mean, the mental stack in the minds of Blobgap. Possibly on this explosive entrance are thinking, let's ban Octavia. I actually opt for the Atlas, felt that was maybe a bigger problem in that previous game, but I think this just leaves the Estelle first pick wide open for Giovanni here. I don't particularly see anything else. Possibly the Zentaro first pick. Oh, it is a Zen. I mean, interesting. I don't know actually what Geo is going to opt for here with Estelle gone and Octavia gone. I mean, they hate him. Can I say it? He did too much to them. They said, we're going to take both your picks here. Yeah, that's a salty run back if I've ever seen one.
Yeah, they are. Really? I mean, we saw firsthand an example of some of the rage built up by the members of this Blobgap team in light of that Octavia game. So yeah, getting it completely out of dodge will be interesting to see what Geo picks. I've been hit by the ad break of Doom and Despair, so I actually cannot see the drafter, but it looks like nothing's been... Oh, I see Luna. That's definitely... Wait, it's probably Geo Luna. Geo Luna, yeah, because it's Lockdown. Yeah, Lockdown's pick.
Yeah, I mean, Luna. Yeah, I mean, recently I haven't seen him play it too much, but or at least in this series so far. But definitely one of his picks that he's very comfortable on. Playing the core control doesn't play too much for damage, which I think possibly, I mean, of course, suits their style more, but also this map more. Now to round it out, looking like the Juno goalie here, Sloth opting for it, meaning that possibly Yode's a bit down on his luck with the options. I'm uncertain what he'll choose here. I think Finney potentially as a goalie that's remaining. Possibly could actually. I think it's a Stell goalie maybe. I hadn't considered that, and maybe they're just deciding on what to give Cookies here. Yeah, and they give him the Kazan. Looks like a Stell goalie Octavia midfield. That does make more sense. Playing into the Juno Luna Zentaro here now. I'm uncertain comp-wise who's going to win. I think both these teams can get it done. I think Estelle always very scary, and the Octavia can scale out of control. But still, lockdown on this map. They know how to play it. They're the best core control team in the league, and I think they can still get it done, regardless of their comp, the comp of the enemy team being rather scary to play into.
Yeah, certainly a bit unconventional. This honestly kind of looks like a solo queue lobby. Like if you told me this is what people locked in solo queue, I would not be surprised. But no, there is a lot of blatant potential on both sides. I assume, especially with the Juno. Obviously, it's probably Sloth Juno. I've never seen Sloth Luna in my life, but yeah. So maybe the slimes will be a little less effectual at pressing for barrier. But even then, I mean, if you can just get enough boxes there in that bot plane, should be a pretty easy to execute, especially with this Luna and the Centauro. Great at building boxes and otherwise establishing power plays and dealing damage. I'm kind of leaning towards Lockdown to take this one, but really could go either way.
Yeah, certainly could. I mean, of course, the Luna. I think one of the problems with playing it so much for core control is that if she's unable to scale the damage and do all that into the Octavia, she's inevitably going to be outsped here. So I think a tough task for Geo, but I presume they're actually going to play the bulk of the interactions through the Juno and the Zentaro here and just have the Luna cover things as they typically do here.
First clear of the match is rotated upwards. Heinef looking to threaten that top plane, but it's actually the bot plane on which the first goal goes, and a 12-second goal to kick things off here. No Octavia, no problem, evidently, for Giovanni and Scythen, who managed to slot it right past Yodes, who dashes kind of to Narnia there.
Yeah, absolutely. And now has no cooldowns to the kickoff. Seemed like nobody had too much as, first point we saw a lot more things coming out there. Still results in a neutral state somewhat. Nice strikes found. Almost punished Sloth there, but of course has the eject button here. So able to play as aggressively as he would like, which Yode actually, I didn't see that. I do really like the eject button Estelle pick on Inkies. Typically she'll take strike shots, sometimes the mum boots. But for this map, I'm a fan of that choice.
Well, I'm not a fan of that clear from Sloth, though. Called out real hard by Rookie Cookie to get the barrier open. And now goalie's being put in a tricky spot, is able to walk around the water, not having to blow a dodge, which is good once you're playing into this really cooldown heavy offense. Or Heinef letting the ultimate rip and knocking it into top corner. Rookie Cookie was also there to confirm if things got hairy. And there we go, one apiece on this Inky Splash Zone, set one.
Once again, into this kickoff here. Looks like the Juno has a nice matchup into the Estelle here. Generally has a strong kickoff tool in that primary. And Dash coming out, ton of damage out onto Rookie Cookie, but he experienced that in the first game and was able to live long enough for them to still win the game. Now, unfortunately for Lockdown, the Zentaro ult, their best kill confirm tool, is out, and they also haven't gotten the barrier yet. So unless Cookies is killed soon, eventually he's going to heal up. The enemies aren't going to have any more cooldowns, and it's just going to be a disaster on the elephants. Now, maybe I spoke too soon. As Flip comes out, barrier did drop, and Scythen trying to work his way down the bottom side. I think the secondary was on cooldown for a couple of seconds too long to be able to combine it with that passive. But still, the beam there for them, not too impactful, and I think that's a bit of a disaster. Flip forced out by a great dash though, but unless Cookies is able to convert with this water beam, as he is unable to, I think this Luna actually in the open net with the Zentara is favoring is favored in the matchup on offense here.
Incredible call out by Scythen there with the primary to somehow get the ball up and around Yodes to get that second goal. Abilities flying off rip on this kickoff, but the ball does end up in the J corner of lockdown, meaning that the first difficult questions of this point will be asked of them. And Sloth not equal to the task. Rookie Cookie finding a good sequence, capped off by an excellent dash there to just about get it past the lockdown goalie within 15 seconds. Another rapid fire double there from Blobgap, and now it is 2-2 here in set 1.
Yeah, I think making full use of that explosive entrance that he has for the core speed and the dash range possibly as well. A lot of brawlers I think would have opted for the Orb Dancer. It's, you know, the new fad of brawlers, I'd say, a favorite that they typically opt for, but Cookie's showing no, I don't need it to get these goals, and you know, it isn't really providing too much value for Geo just yet. I mean, of course, it's not much use for him to take the explosive entrance, but I'm sure he's going to try and find some more value out of these orbs if he's able to. But as of right now, they don't need that value, as they found the barrier, they found the kill, and soon enough I think they'll find the goal. Cookie's probably going to be forced to flip on the defense here, but maybe not if the strike walls just keep falling into place. Excellent layering here means that the midfielder of Zar is able to respawn already.
Wow, incredible holds here. Continues to be incredible holds there from Sloth. Somehow finding the money angle off of that flip to keep his own barrier. It should be tricky to maintain it now that he has no dodge and no primary, though, especially. Okay, go team. And a crazy find by Scythen as well into the Geo, who has his last great act, sacrifices himself for the goal. He will be back. He may even be MVP. No, it's actually Scythen. But what an insane sequence. What an insane way to go 1-up here in sets.
Yeah, I mean, I said he only had one orb stack, but that means he didn't lose too much out of that death going into the next set. And Scythen rewarded actually with the fourth here, not wanting to let it drop any further than him. The spark pickup here and the chrono boost deny, pretty critical coming out by Geo here, which does mean on the other hand that the peak performance will still be picked up by the Octavia, who was often in damage trouble. But in its new nerf state, I think she's probably getting about 5% move speed from it, something like that. I can't say for sure, but it's not, you know, what it used to be exactly as an Awakening.
Lot of chaos here on the bot lane. Scythen is having to retreat and grab orb, and now it's actually the other brawler, Rookie Cookie, who's probably not looking all too hot. He's trying to push the offense solo, but Sloth equal to it finds the outclear, gets the ball out of dodge, and now the good triangle sequence, good positional play from Lockdown to work that ball out of a sticky situation there in the back. Yodes is being very conservative with his abilities, is waiting for Scythen to do something. He's seemingly dribbling it endlessly up against his top corner there, but eventually blinks and does not do all too much with it. Geo now forcing the bottom corner setup, but Yodes equal to it, able to get out in front of the chaos that this Luna is trying to create. And now this Luna, a little low. Geo, obviously a good player at playing his life, but not good enough in that situation. So kind of missing the barrier the first time around, but gets it the second time of asking. And now we're looking at some classic passing play. And oh my god, Scythen, what are we doing? Scythen, what are we doing? Okay, yeah, nothing Sloth could do there once his brawler decided he wasn't actually going to double defend. He was just going to die. But yeah, good sequence there from Blobgap.
Yeah, my favorable interpretation of that play is he thought he could get the flip before he was hit stunned, but the hit stun just too fast. Now, once again, he's taken off the map, this time by his enemies, and actually his team say, we got you, we got this power play handled. Still though, they need to get it up to this beam before Cookies is able to do anything with it, and Scythen, I think, redeemed himself with that one, putting the enemy brawler into the beam this time. Now, scary spot though, as Octavia, the only one who's able to walk through for this offense, and Cookie's about to respawn in a second. So still, you know, despite finding the kill and the barrier, Lockdown not out of the woodwork just yet.
Well, yeah, it could be especially dicey here. Sloth not having to rip the flip, though. That's great. Especially now that the net is open up on the other side of the field. Yode's eating a fat missile, but there's no one there to capitalize off of the stun laid down by Giovanni. And now, just like all four members are in such close proximity to each other, ping-ponging up out the wazoo. But it is actually Zarheinif that gets the better of that series of interactions as it knocks the ball into a tricky checkmate situation with Rookie Cookie, but Slop just about pulls the primary out of his sleeve. And also Scythen with a well-placed strike robs the flip out of Yodes, a flip trade taking place. Now there's absolutely no energy on the field, bar Giovanni, who's got 2 notches on his stagger bar. That said, Sloth finding a good clear up and around Rookie Cookie. The primary from Kazan just not quite connecting, meaning that the lockdown goalie gets off scot-free. A slight miscommunication, 2 dashes coming out onto the exact same spot, Sloth and Scythen landing up on top of each other, and ultimately ending with a couple less abilities to defend with when it came time to face Rookie Cookie, who taps it right through the lockdown goalie for 2-0 on this second set for Blobgap.
Yeah, and honestly, I think Geo could have just gone from the other side of the beam and taken the core out of the beam. But for the first time in the set, as we can see by his one orb, he went for the orb instead. And that's three goals already for Blobgap. A quick point, as is not too uncommon on Inkies here, taking them into 1-1 overall and showing why this was the map they decided not to ban.
This is not too bad of a draft, at least on the flip side. Sure, Octi's first, but Juno gets something good, irrespective of what Octavia takes here. Might actually opt for the 1-2, goes for the hot shot, which means, I guess maybe 1-2's not as strong, and Kazan has rapid fire, so that's understandable. And then we're seeing Zentaro pick up the energy in Catalyst. Go figure, and we do see a spark taken from Yodes, who now has 2 sparks. That's quite scary. And Geo, of course, picking up his patented mobility, the flavor of the day. This time around is among Titans.
Yeah, and as you said, if Estelle could pick any 2 sparks to have, I think those would be the 2. Of course, doesn't have as much cooldown reduction as would have been on the previous patch, but still, about 17% cooldown reduction, something like that if my math is accurate. Still though, it's just Cookies who's doing it on the offense. Kazan, one of those characters that as a goalie, once he gets a couple over on you, the mental can start to drop and you can start to slip when you're saying this character is so stupid, why can he do that? So we'll have to see if Sloth, a goalie who's known for his mental, can keep it up into this rather annoying defensive matchup.
Man, ain't that the truth? I would be pro league if Kazan didn't exist. Man, absolute destroyer of mentals. But on a more serious note,
Oh, no.
Okay, that was quite unserious by Sloth, but did have the dash required to hold his barrier. Does give it right to Rookie Gungi. That means that it will fall on the second time of asking. Good application of the stun by Yodes, but not a little premature. Means that Sloth can get away scot-free. But opts for the slime instead of the strike there. Might have been on cooldown. The slime not quite connecting with that ball, meaning it is now, it's been a streak of like 5 goals on the bounce for Blobgap, so they really are looking poised to take this game if it continues this way.
Yeah, and we saw this happen pretty much 1-1 in the first game, actually, where, after Lockdown won the first set, they just kind of got swept 6 goals in a row. Now, they are on the defense, they have the flip available, waits out so that they can get the beam timing as well, and this is a must-convert offense here, and Geo just in the mind of Yodesman absolutely shuts down the flip. That's a big one for the side of Lockdown here. They certainly needed it as Scythen was losing his life. Now they get to retain both of these offensive flips that they have been building their way up to.
So good for Lockdown to stop the bleeding there, but it seems like the wound's been ripped right back open. There we go. 9-second points are Heinef activating the haste to just seal the deal there with a good strike war win up against Sloth in the top corner. And it's Cookies who ultimately gets the pick of the litter here. There's a couple of really scary things for Kazan, not to mention aerials, which that'll be a really hot point of contention given all the people that could potentially take it here.
Yeah, certainly. I think Cookie's probably just going to want size here. He doesn't have one already. Opts for the demo here. Heavy impact. Bit of a deny from this Estelle. And Estelle actually leaves the aerials. Now, I think she should have just taken it playing the eject button. It's a lot of range, and Omega Infuse is quite nice, but you already have a bit of move speed. I don't think it was ever going to drop to this Octavia, who is forced to take the Berserker. Now, if she's getting hit a lot, it means she'll get the cooldown on her secondary back a bit more, somewhat of a mini fight or flight, but doesn't even need it, as once again Cookie's showing his
Oh my
prowess
God.
on the Kazan to just get it done. I mean, that was like one rotation of cooldowns from him getting the barrier and the goal instantly. And yeah, as we were mentioning, it seems like the mental toll is starting to play into effect.
Absolutely insane sequence. We had a 9-second goal into an 8-second goal. It really seems like Blobgap really want this game. Go figure, but they're definitely putting their thoughts into action here. That's at Scythe and Threatening with 1,000,000,001 abilities there in bot play. No matter how many people you stack behind that core flip, it's still going to go in. That is Zentaro classic 101 right there. So good response out of lockdown is what they need. They need to get another set on the board for momentum and just to stay alive in this series. So that is decidedly a step in the right direction.
Yeah, I think, as is known on Inkies, the kickoffs matter more than probably any map in the game. Now, great attempt here by Geo off the beam, but just means that now both of the forwards are stranded here. Unfortunately for Blobgap, though, they weren't quite prepared, meaning that the strike was found to get it out of the beam in time for the forwards of Lockdown to be able to help out on the offense. And Scythen, trying to work his way down the bottom side here into the goal, does have flip available to him, but it's taking a decent chunk of damage here. Just gonna opt for popping this flip. I mean, as a Zentaro with the heavy impact and FOF cooldowns, as well as having Catalyst, I don't think, he has to hold his flip particularly long before he'll be able to easily get another one. But right now, he is taking a bit of damage, so we'll have to see how he can do.
Both forwards of Blobgap are not looking too hot. Both being functionally taken out of the play, particularly Zarhynef, who's being forced to contest this interaction in bot lane, just because that's where the ball ended up. Somehow not getting rocketed off the map, though, and also living that sequence. And Sloth kind of just whiffing the flip there. That is not... And did he just take Scythen's orb? What is happening? Maybe he wanted the... Okay, yeah, that's his penance for taking Scythen's orb, if that was the case.
Yeah, I mean, from what I saw, he dashed up to get the barrier, which he was successful in. Maybe he TP'd back onto the orb, I didn't quite see it. But regardless, despite the good offense, it's seeming like Blobgap once again taking this first barrier rather swiftly and just playing it around. And I don't know, possibly the Octavia pick is just broken on these starts here, and the decision by Blobgap to not let it happen to them one more time and pick it for themselves was overwhelming. And Blobgap taking this one 2-1, getting revenge from the first series where Lockdown were the victors, and meaning that they're one step closer to being able to achieve the first seed in EUSL playoffs.
Giovanni hitting his patented post-loss insta-DC. There were only 5 people left on the map by the time that game finished. But yeah, good fight. Great execution of the game plan there from Yodsman and company. They might not have had the blob, but they still blob gapped in spite of Juno being on the enemy team. That was great play through and through. Particularly Cookie's had a lot of hero interactions throughout this series, not especially on this Inky splash zone, backed up by Zarhynef, who was just able to be everywhere all at once. 140 redirects, most on the map. Good usage of the character there. And yeah, maybe this character is a little crazy in the right hands, obviously. So good stuff. And they now go 6-2 on the season, which is a record to be reckoned with for sure.
Yeah, it certainly is, as you said, and a big matchup to get the W in, as we have mentioned. Dropping Lockdown into contention with wildcards possibly for finding a spot in the third or fourth slot, possibly even second if they can focus up for it. But still, I mean, both these teams played excellently, I think, but it just seemed like on their map choices, they were able to play better, surprise, surprise, and having the map side here meant the Blob were able to get those 2 wins, get it done, and not let the game 2 loss into the Octavia get to their mental too much, which I think was rather important. So very well played by both teams, and that has been it, I believe, for EUSL Season 4, Week 8. We'll be back next week with some more banger games as we close into playoffs, and the race for seeding is heating up.